Chapter 706. The dusty memories were awakened. It caused Qin Shujian's spiritual deity to shake crazily. The surging and vast memories. It was unknown how many years had passed. If it was an ordinary heavenly being, the moment the memories emerged, it would be enough to make the spiritual deity explode and become a living dead. It was only because Qin Shujian had broken through to the 10th level of the heavenly being realm that his spiritual deity and physical body had grown to a terrifying extent that he could accept this dusty memory. 1 hour. 2 hours.
Soon.
5 days passed. Qin Shujian, who was sitting cross-legged, did not move at all. The multicolored light still covered the sky. However, because the multicolored light had no source, no one could find the specific source. Only the cultivators secretly guessed. It might be the birth of some supreme treasure that caused such a commotion. However, as time passed, the multicolored light had expanded from the original million miles to tens of millions of miles, and then to billions of miles. The entire eastern continent. They were all nurtured in the multicolored light. The sea of death shook. In the deepest part of the sea, fiery red seawater flowed quietly. At first glance, it did not look like flowing seawater, but more like a burning sea of fire. A great sun. It existed in the depths of the sea. And in a deeper place, there seemed to be an infinitely large stone statue sitting in it. The stone statue looked like a human, but not a human. It was a beast, but not a beast. However, there were countless chains lingering around the stone statue, running through the world and firmly locking it here. If there were cultivators who had condensed the universe heavenly lock here, they would discover it. Each of these chains was the universe heavenly lock. However, it was different from the universe heavenly lock condensed by true martial realm cultivators. Each universe heavenly lock here emitted terrifying power. Any one of them. It was enough to suppress a perfected immortal. The stone statue stretched out a hand and held up the great sun, preventing it from completely sinking into the sea. The sun that shone on the 4 continents. In the stone statue's hand, it was just like a fiery red ball, completely incomparable to his vast body. Apart from that, in the deepest part of the sea of death, there was nothing else. There was only a stone statue that was dead silent. And a sun. After an unknown period of time, the sun slowly rose from the bottom of the sea and went straight above the astral winds of the 9 heavens. Then, the darkness of the 4 great continents was dispelled.
It was also, at this moment,
the stone statue trembled slightly. There seemed to be countless stone fragments falling down. In the depths of the Death Sea region, terrifying waves were set off. The ferocious beasts near the Sea of Death seemed to have encountered something terrifying as they frantically fled in all directions. Although the dire beasts had no intelligence, but there were also instinctive impulses. At this moment, these ferocious beasts sensed a destructive threat, and their instincts drove them to flee. A colossal ferocious beast that was over 1,000,000 feet long stood up from the bottom of the sea and fled into the depths of the sea. The aura it exuded could easily crush space. A powerful ferocious beast accidentally blocked the way. His body was also shattered by this ferocious beast's slap, and he completely sank into the sea. If there was an expert, they would discover that this beast had reached the level of a true immortal. The first true immortal savage beast fled. Very soon, there was a second one and then a third. Under such a terrifying threat, even a true immortal savage beast was like an ant. It had no choice but to flee frantically, just as all the dire beasts were fleeing. With the depths of the sea as the center, a shocking wave surged, enough to cover the sky and the sun, surging in all directions. Heavenly Pattern Island. In the small world of the Jade Wave sect, a towering tree stood there, its branches and leaves covered the entire small world like a canopy. All of a sudden, Ancestor Tongtian woke up from his deep sleep. The tree trunk twisted slightly, revealing his shocked face. What's going on? Why is there a sudden riot in the Sea of Death? Could it be that something in the depths of the sea has awakened?
Just now,
Ancestor Tongtian sensed the tremor in the Sea of Death. An extremely terrifying force was erupting from the depths of the sea and sweeping toward Heavenly Pattern Island at an extremely fast speed. That force, even Ancestor Tongtian, who had reached the Nirvana realm, felt like an ant in front of it. The difference in strength. The ancestor of the Blue Waves sect could no longer remain calm.
Not only that,
the other two sects in Heavenly Pattern Island also sensed the abnormality at this time. Holy God sect. The true dragon roared, and the galaxy trembled. Fantasy Sea sect. Xia Chao walked to the spacious hall, trembling. His wrinkled face was full of shock. Why is there such a change in the Sea of Death? Father clearly said that the existence in the depths of the Sea of Death is asleep and won't wake up easily. The memories that had been sealed for millions of years were awakened. Xia Chao also remembered what Emperor Xia had said to him in the past. In the depths of a Sea of Death, there was a terrifying existence. Even if one broke through to the true immortal realm, one must not go deep into the Sea of Death. One day, one's cultivation could reach the level of the Emperor of Heaven. In other words, in fact, only the Emperor of Heaven could deal with the terror in the depths of the Sea of Death. At this time, countless terrifying auras were approaching. The cultivators in Heavenly Pattern Island all looked in a certain direction with a horrified expression. There were countless terrifying dire beasts crossing the sea and coming over. The dire beasts are attacking the island. Quickly inform the other sections. The dire beasts are attacking the island. The hearts of the cultivators in Heavenly Pattern Island were already beating violently. Looking at the dire beasts, their legs and stomachs were trembling. Strong. Too strong. Compared to the dire beasts in front of them, the dire beasts that were wandering around Heavenly Pattern Island paled in comparison. There was no comparison at all. In an instant, the alarm in Heavenly Pattern Island rang. All the cultivators gathered, preparing to resist the dire beasts together. At the same time, the restriction array left behind by the emperors was activated, covering the entire Heavenly Pattern Island. In the depths of the Sea of Death, the cultivators in Heavenly Pattern Island had no possibility of retreating. Even if they were afraid in their hearts, they could only brace themselves and face it. Fantasy Sea Sect. Xia Chao controlled the heaven and earth's spiritual energy to draw a circle in front of him. Then, the circle split into two, becoming two circles of the same size. Inside the circle, the faces of Ancestor Scarich and Sage Star appeared. Ancestor Scarich and Sage Star. Xia Chao. The three of them faced each other, each with a grave expression. Xia Chao said, "The riot in the depths of the Sea of Death is very likely caused by that existence awakening from a slumber. Now that the dire beasts are attacking, there is an even greater threat behind. Heavenly Pattern Island cannot be moved. If we want to survive this disaster, we can only use the backup plan left behind by the emperors." Since the emperors allowed them to enter the Sea of Death, naturally, they would have prepared a backup plan. The emperor's restriction. As a method left behind by an ancient third-layer true immortal expert, it would not be so simple. It was only truly using the backup plan left behind by the emperors. The price they had to pay was not small. Therefore, in the past, when Heavenly Pattern Island was attacked, they would use the surface array and then send cultivators to fight the dire beasts to protect the island. But in reality, the true Emperor's restriction on Heavenly Pattern Island had never been used. Sage Star said slowly, "There is a problem in the depths of the Sea of Death. Regardless of whether that existence has awakened or not, it is impossible for Heavenly Pattern Island to stay out of this. After all, there are true immortal level dire beasts in the depths of the sea. Therefore, I also suggest that we use the backup plan left behind by the emperors." Seconded. Ancestor Scarich said too much, but he also agreed with the two's suggestion.
Then,
the three sects were shaken. A vast power rose from within, and a sea of heaven and earth spirit energy was instantly extracted from Heavenly Pattern Island. In the sky above Heavenly Pattern Island, the Emperor's restrictions suddenly emitted a sacred and powerful aura.
Soon,
a figure with a crown on his head walked out. Looking at the dire beasts coming at him, He directly punched out. The fist struck. The void shattered. Dozens of dire beasts that could be said to be at the level of almighty dire beasts exploded into a bloody mist.
Boom.
A terrifying power swept through the world. The ferocious beasts that were charging over were all shocked. Looking at the terrifying figure, they instinctively made way for it. What is that thing? I don't know. Maybe it's a power mark left behind by the emperors. The cultivators of Heavenly Pattern Island raised their heads and looked at the figure in the sky with reverence. A punch that killed dozens of dire beasts. Such an existence. At his peak, he was absolutely terrifying to an unimaginable degree. Everyone knew. The restriction left behind by Heavenly Pattern Island was the means of the former emperors. Now, the figure of an expert had appeared. Naturally, some people connected it to the emperors. Father. Xia Chao looked at the illusory figure that appeared in the sky. His old face was filled with excitement, and his fingers were trembling slightly. 1,000,000 years. It had been 1,000,000 years since the fall of Emperor Xia. He hadn't seen his father's appearance for 1,000,000 years. After all, it had been so many years. He had been imprisoned in the main hall. Many of his memories faded bit by bit with the passage of time until they completely disappeared. Until now. Seeing Emperor Xia's power mark being triggered, Xia Chao recalled some things. For a time, he also had mixed feelings. At the same time, a dire beast that was 100,000 feet tall came with a monstrous wave, wanting to completely drown Heavenly Pattern Island. A true immortal dire beast. Xia Chao's face twitched again. A true immortal dire beast. Ever since he entered Heavenly Pattern Island, he had never encountered an existence of this level. Because dire beasts of this level, they were all in the depths of the Death Sea and didn't touch other areas at all. But now, they had come out. Xia Chao wasn't sure if the power mark left behind by Emperor Xia could kill a true immortal dire beast. After all, although Emperor Xia was strong, he had died 1,000,000 years ago. The power mark left behind in the past had been weakened to a certain extent by the passage of time. However, although Xia Chao was worried, he didn't panic too much. The Emperor's restriction. It was Heavenly Pattern Island's final trump card. At this moment, Heavenly Pattern Island was basically going all out. If it succeeded, there would be no worries. If it failed, it would be destroyed. Now that it had really come to this, Xia Chao was actually able to accept it. Monstrous waves swept over. The true immortal dire beast let out a furious roar and punched at Heavenly Pattern Island. Emperor Xia's figure raised his hand and punched out, colliding with the dire beast.
Boom.
The fist shattered. Flesh and blood burst. The true immortal dire beast let out a miserable cry. Without waiting for it to react, Emperor Xia's figure punched out again, completely killing the true immortal dire beast. The true immortal dire beast fell. Its flesh and blood essence scattered on the surface of the sea. Emperor Xia's figure waved his hand and collected a large amount of the dire beast's flesh and blood, then threw it towards the illusion sea sect. When he saw this, Xia Chao was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He wanted to soar into the air and get closer to Emperor Xia's figure. But because of the palace's restrictions, there was nothing he could do. In the end, Xia Chao could only forcibly suppress the excitement in his heart and collect the dire beast's flesh and blood that had fallen into the palace. The flesh and blood of a true immortal dire beast.
It was a precious treasure that was hard to come by.
Although the Emperor's restriction prevented Heavenly Pattern Island from giving birth to cultivators above the 3rd level of the Celestial Realm, it wasn't a problem for them to use the dire beast's flesh and blood to produce more of them. After killing a true immortal dire beast, more true immortal dire beasts pounced over. They weren't like those almighty dire beasts. Although Emperor Xia's figure was strong, it wasn't enough to scare them away. Instead, it aroused their savage nature. Soon another illusory figure appeared. It was a true dragon coiled in the sky, and a towering tree that covered the sky. A vast aura swept through the world. Then the Emperor's shadows began to slaughter all the true immortal dire beasts. In the deepest part of the Sea of Death, after the stone statue shook for a while, it stopped. Then the stone statue's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. A faint light shot out from within, as if it could see everything in the world. Since when was such a terrifying existence born in the world? Could it be that a supreme existence has awakened his innate wisdom? A soft murmur sounded in the depths of the sea. This voice seemed to be talking to someone, but also seemed to be talking to itself. Above the laws, it's a realm that people yearn for. Unfortunately, I'm imprisoned here, and there's no way for me to break through. Oh, since when were there so many creatures in the sea? They look familiar. I think I've seen them before. I remember there was a person called Chin Song who brought a group of people here. I think he was in that group. Speaking of which, it's a pity for Chin Song. There was hope, alas. The murmur gradually quieted down. Not long after, the deepest part of a sea of death returned to peace. Just as the sea of death was rioting inside Heavenly Abyss, there was also a problem. Only to see a voice that did not sound like a human's voice or a beast's roar coming from below Heavenly Abyss. The roar shook the world, and any celestial cultivator who was too close to Heavenly Abyss died completely in the roar. The world was shaking. The void was cracking. Si Hanhai, who was originally refining the dragon's body, suddenly woke up from his cultivation. He turned his head to look at Heavenly Abyss, and his calm face was completely replaced by horror. The next moment, the blood cloud collapsed. Si Hanhai didn't even think before fleeing outside. The other demon cultivators were also frantically fleeing at this time. No one knew what had happened, but the roar in Heavenly Abyss made them feel the threat of death. However, those demon cultivators below the almighty level all exploded and died at this time. There was no chance for them to escape. Those who could really escape were experts above the 7th level of the celestial being realm. At the same time, the black fog near Heavenly Abyss retreated. The cultivators outside the range of Heavenly Abyss all had a premonition that a great terror was coming. Then, when they saw the void silently collapsing and vanishing, they immediately retreated frantically. No one knew what had happened. However, everyone could feel the threat of death from Heavenly Abyss's roar. At that moment, no matter how high their cultivation base was, they all fled. Even some experts who saw the demon cultivators passing by did not have the time to kill them. Killing the demons was important, but their own survival was more important. The premise of killing the demons.
It was also to ensure that they would not die.
Otherwise, the demons would not kill them. Heavenly Abyss's roar. Not only did it affect the range of Heavenly Abyss, but even the entire Western Prefecture and the other 3 prefectures heard the earth-shattering sound. He's awakened again. Why did he awaken twice in such a short time? Could it be related to the phenomenon in the Eastern Prefecture? In the Moon Palace, the Moon Empress's beautiful face turned pale. Her fear of Heavenly Abyss's existence was stronger than any emperor's. At this time, Heavenly Abyss's existence had awakened. Even if the Moon Clan was not in the Western Prefecture, the Moon Empress could not remain calm. The phenomenon in the Eastern Prefecture.
She also knew about it.
After all, the multicolored light that covered the entire Eastern Prefecture, unless one was blind, anyone could see it. She had some guesses in her heart. But the Moon Empress did not confirm anything. Heavenly Abyss was terrifying. The human race in the Eastern Prefecture was not something the Moon Clan could provoke. What made the Moon Empress feel lucky was after Heavenly Abyss's existence roared, he did not make any extra movements. Regarding this, her heart gradually calmed down. On the other side, inside the Eastern Prefecture, Qin Shu Jian was still sitting there cross-legged. 10 days had passed since he broke through. In these 10 days, his body did not move at all. Niu Dali waited by the side. He did not leave and did not dare to approach. When Heavenly Abyss roared, he also felt something and turned his head to look in the direction of the Western Prefecture. But he quickly retracted his gaze. The current Niu Dali. His mind was focused on Qin Shu Jian. What is going on with Emperor Qin? The last breakthrough was completed very quickly. Why is there no movement after such a long time? Niu Dali was not too anxious. From the current situation, the other party should not have failed the breakthrough. As for why he did not wake up, he did not know the specific reason. The breakthrough this time, it was also very different from the last time. The most basic. The power of the last breakthrough was earth-shattering. This time, there was not much power, but the multicolored light covered the sky. Time passed by little.
Soon.
A month passed by. Qin Shu Jian refined all the memories that emerged to the last step. All of a sudden, his body shook slightly. In the next moment, his tightly closed eyes opened. There seemed to be Dao rhymes surging in his eyes, but they quickly disappeared. I see. Qin Shu Jian revealed a faint smile on his face. Then he got up from the ground and reached out his hand, grabbing the heaven list in his hand. Holding the heaven list. Then he looked at his own attributes. However, the attributes related to him had completely disappeared, as if they had never existed. Seeing this, Qin Shu Jian smiled again. As expected. Shaking his head, he kept the heaven list in his sea of consciousness. Immediately after, he took a step forward. All the arrays that he had set up disappeared silently. Looking at Qin Shu Jian, who was walking in, Niodali found that the other party did not seem to have any cultivation, just like an ordinary person.
To this,
he could not help but reveal a look of shock on his face. But very soon, a word emerged in Niodali's mind: return to nature. What was return to nature? In fact, he was not too sure. But the moment he saw Qin Shu Jian, he could not help but have this thought. At the same time, that familiar feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Niodali tried hard to recall, but he could not. In the end, he had to give up trying to recall. He looked at Qin Shu Jian and bowed. Qin Shihuang. It's you. Qin Shu Jian revealed a meaningful smile on his face. Then, he sat sideways on the other party's back, took out the folding fan from his sea of consciousness, and gently knocked on the bull's head. Bull, let's go back.
Yes.
Niodali did not dare to say anything more. He immediately flew towards the Qian Yuan realm. Sitting on the bull's back, Qin Shu Jian closed his eyes to rest. In fact, he was flipping through the memories in his mind. He had always thought he had just come to this world by chance. Other than that, there was no problem. Until the Guthyuan ancestral canon broke through to perfection and awakened the wisdom of his previous life. Only then did Qin Shu Jian realize everything had been arranged beforehand. For this matter, his heart did not stir up too much. How can it be so inexplicably good? It was just arranged long ago. Qin Shu Jian shook his head slightly. In his sea of consciousness, Godslayer finally cannot keep silent at this time. Qin Shihuang, have you awakened the wisdom of your previous life? As he spoke, he had involuntarily used honorifics, because Godslayer had realized, after the breakthrough, he had become a completely different person. This difference, it was not a difference on the surface, nor was it a difference in the replacement of the divine soul. It was an indescribable feeling. At least, the current Godslayer had no way to sense the changes in Qin Shu Jian's heart. In his perception, the other party was as vast as heaven and earth, but also as vast and deep as the endless void. Not to mention probing. Even if he wanted to get close, he would fall into it. At this point, Godslayer was certain that Qin Shu Jian was definitely in existence above the rules in his previous life. Now that the other party had awakened the wisdom, it was equivalent to a living rule. Even in terms of strength, there was still a big gap. But in other aspects, the other party was above the rules. Facing such an existence, even though he was an ancestral armament, he did not dare to act impudently. Qin Shu Jian said, "You can say that. Didn't you already guess? Now it just so happens to confirm your thoughts. May I ask what kind of realm is above the rules?" Godslayer finally asked the question in his heart. Above the rules. That was just a name for the unknown. Just like how true immortals could be called above celestials. This realm. There must be a real name. Regarding this question, Qin Shu Jian did not hide anything and said calmly, above true immortals is Tao. That realm can be called Tao or Tao fruit. In fact, there is no difference. Just like how you are willing to call him above the rules, The name is just a code name. When you reach it, you will naturally reach it.
Dao.
Dao fruit. Godslayer silently remembered these two names in his heart. He knew. To be able to meet the reincarnation of an existence above the rules was the biggest turning point in Zhu Bing's life. Just as Godslayer was about to ask something else, Qin Shujian directly interrupted his thoughts. There are some things that you shouldn't ask too much. When you reach that realm, you will naturally know. It's not good to know too much now. Godslayer was speechless. These words sounded very familiar to him. In the past, he often responded to Qin Shujian like this. Now, it was the other way around. Godslayer felt a little strange. Soon after, he felt relieved. Qin Shujian, who had awakened his innate wisdom, was not comparable to the original Qin Shujian. When there was a change on the heaven list, it was also the attention of many human experts. Emperor Qin's name disappeared from the celestial list. Could it be that Emperor Qin has attained Dao and broken through to true immortal? Impossible. The true immortal list is still blank. Originally, after Xiao Qingfeng broke through, Qin Shujian fell from the first place to the second place on the celestial list. Before the others could be shocked for long, Qin Shujian's name completely disappeared from the celestial list. Not on the celestial list. Not on the true immortal list. Qin Shujian's name did not appear on any of the lists on the heaven list. It was as if this person had completely disappeared. Such an unforeseen event. It caused many experts to be shocked, because the heaven list recorded all the cultivators in the human cultivation world. Anyone who had the strength to be on the list would naturally have their name on it. The current situation. This was the first time this had happened. In addition, Qin Shujian had disappeared for more than a month, which made some of the elders of the Qianyuan sacred ground secretly anxious. They were not sure. Had something happened to Qin Shujian? It was not until Green Ox appeared in the Qianyuan realm that those cultivators who were anxious completely calmed down. When they returned to the main branch of the Qianyuan sect, at the gate of the courtyard, Zheng Fang and Su Yuanming were already waiting there. When they saw Green Ox land, the two of them immediately stepped forward and bowed. Emperor Qin. What happened? A few days ago, Emperor Qin's name disappeared from the heaven list. In addition, you have been gone for a long time. Many people are worried that Su Yuanming closed his mouth as he spoke. There was no need to finish. His meaning was obvious. Qin Shujian said, Ben Huang just removed his name from the heaven list. Don't make a fuss. In addition, I need to cultivate in seclusion for a while. No one is allowed to disturb me. Yes, my emperor.
Go.
Qin Shujian waved his hand casually. Su Yuanming and Zheng Fang immediately retreated. They got down from Green Ox's back. Niu Dali had already consciously gone to lie down in his original position. Qin Shujian glanced at him sideways and did not say anything. The gate of the courtyard opened by itself. Qin Shujian stepped in. Immediately after, he took out the Godslayer and the heaven list from a sea of consciousness and placed them in the courtyard. Ben Huang is going to cultivate in seclusion. You guys stay here and don't wander around. Okay? The Godslayer nodded slightly. The heaven list shook slightly. A similar emotion was expressed. As an 8-seal Taoist artifact, it had also given birth to spirituality. And as time passed, its spirituality became stronger and stronger. It was almost to the point where it could give birth to spiritual wisdom. He pushed open the door of the room. In more than a year, this was the first time Qin Shujian walked in, although this room had always been in the courtyard. But almost all of his time was sitting in the courtyard. He was too lazy to come in. When his cultivation reached a certain level, he no longer needed to sleep to make up for his exhaustion. This place is spotless, Qin Shujian said calmly. The next moment, the little bit of dust in the room completely disappeared.
Seeing this,
he smiled slightly. Then he sat down on the couch and slowly sorted out his awakened memories. When he broke through in the canyon, for more than a month, Qin Shujian was simply receiving memories. That long memory. It took more than a month just to receive the memories. However, receiving the memories was just the most basic memory collection. If he wanted to understand some of the things, he still needed time to slowly go through them. Time passed slowly. Qin Shu Jian closed his eyes and went through his memories. After a long time, only then did he open his eyes again. In an instant, an ancient aura leaked out, but it soon disappeared. Is it the fourth era or the fifth era? An era. It represented a long period of time. Qin Shu Jian wasn't sure if he was in the fourth or fifth era, because it had been too long. Moreover, he didn't know how many things had happened during the period when his innate wisdom was asleep and then awakened. During this period of time, maybe only one era had passed, or maybe a few eras had passed. No one could be sure. Very soon, Qin Shu Jian put this matter aside for the time being. Which epoch was it? That wasn't important. The fifth era was fine. The 10th era was fine. For him, it didn't affect him much. The only thing that could affect him was the awakening of his innate wisdom. Once his innate wisdom was awakened, it was equivalent to saying that everything had reached a critical point. I can already sense it. This epoch is about to end. Once this epoch ends, the next epoch will begin. The end of an era. The beginning of an era. It was equivalent to a reincarnation. Qin Shu Jian's face became solemn. Since my innate wisdom has been awakened, everything should be put on the agenda. Most of the people from back then have fallen. However, I can sense that there are still some people who still exist in this era. Thinking of this, he sighed. After awakening his innate wisdom, Qin Shu Jian understood a lot of things now. He was born in the third era and died in the third era. He had also fought side by side with the remaining experts of the first era and the second era. It was a pity. They had also failed in the third era. As such, he had fallen into reincarnation again. Until now, when a new era had begun, he had awakened the innate wisdom of his previous life. However, my strength hasn't fully recovered. It's meaningless to think too much. It's better to recover my strength first. Qin Shu Jian thought to himself. There were many things that he didn't have the right to interfere with his current strength, because his current strength had only recovered a little. The Gudyuan ancestral scripture had reached perfection. He had opened up an inner world in his body. This method was already different from the path taken by all the true immortals in the great wide world. Normal true immortals take the path of controlling the rules and then rely on the rules to reach the peak and break through to the Tao fruit realm. However, I'm not taking the path of the rules now. In other words, I'm not taking the fixed path of the great wide world. I'm evolving the world. I'm the world, and the world is me. As long as there are enough rules born in the inner world, and it's perfect enough, my strength will continue to improve. Qin Shu Jian also understood a lot about his own situation. The Gudyuan ancestral scripture. It was a technique that he had deduced by combining the methods of the Great Thousand Realms. Opening up the inner world. Not taking the path of the rules. Qin Shu Jian wasn't too clear about the realm he was currently in. He was considered a heavenly being. However, he was also considered a true immortal. This was because his strength was already comparable to the third-level true immortal in this world. As for his lifespan, it had broken the shackles of the original true immortal and reached an extremely long realm. Qin Shu Jian estimated he could exist for as long as the world existed. In other words, the 129,600 lifespan limit of a true immortal was no longer of any use to him. The true immortals of this world have actually taken the wrong path, but it's not completely the case. However, it's extremely difficult to rely on this method to break through to a higher realm. The limit of lifespan is the biggest problem. Combined with himself, Qin Shu Jian also knew what kind of path the world was taking. This was also the reason. So far, this world had not given birth to an expert of the Tao fruit realm. Because of the limit of lifespan, it was also difficult to walk the path of a single rule, which limited everyone's future. Of course, this was not absolute. If there was really an expert with outstanding talent, there was a possibility of breaking this shackle, but the possibility was slim. After opening up the inner world, the source of life can no longer play any role because I'm now equivalent to a newborn world, which is incompatible with the world in front of me. The source of life was also a kind of power of heaven and earth, but it was of a higher level. However, no matter how advanced it was, it could not transcend the limits of heaven and earth. In other words, Qin Shujian's current level of life was already equivalent to that of the great wide world. As a result, it was no longer possible to quickly improve his strength through the back door that the great wide world had opened for him. However, Qin Shujian didn't pay too much attention to it. The source of life was just a means to quickly improve his strength before he awakened his innate wisdom. Now that he had awakened his innate wisdom, he already knew how much of the road ahead would be. The existence of the source of life, there was no need for it. P.S. The book is already in the late stage. It might be finished in another month or two. At present, it's mainly restoring the book. If there are any more rewards, it depends on your mood, but there won't be additional chapters. Chapter 707. He walked out of the room. Qin Shujian counted with his fingers and roughly knew how much time had passed. Qin Emperor. Godslayer stepped forward with a fawning smile on his face. Things were different now. The other party was really the reincarnation of a being beyond true immortal. Although he was Zhu Bing, in front of such a being, he was just a little brother.
So,
The god-slaying saber clearly recognized its position. Senior, your attitude is a little different today, Qin Shujian said with a surprised face. You're exaggerating, Qin Emperor. I don't deserve to be called senior. If you think highly of me, just call me little god. Godslayer lowered his head submissively. Following Qin Shujian, he was no different from a henchman. As for the heavenly list, it also stepped forward at this time. But because its intelligence was not complete, it could only vaguely express its meaning. He took the heavenly list into his sea of consciousness. Qin Shujian glanced at Godslayer and then said, although Ben Huang has awakened his innate intelligence, it didn't change anything. The previous life is like a cloud and smoke. You should focus on the present. You don't have to be too restrained. Just act as usual. You're right, Qin Emperor. Godslayer was still smiling apologetically. Qin Shujian didn't bother to pay attention to this. Since the other party wanted to do this, then let him be. He sat back in his original position. Qin Shujian skillfully made a cup of tea for himself, then looked at Godslayer and said, I want to know, which era is it now? Which era is it? Hearing this, Godslayer's eyes showed confusion. The name era. It was the first time he heard of it. What is the era that Qin Emperor is talking about? It's nothing. I just asked casually. Qin Shujian shook his head. It seemed that even Zhu Bing didn't know about the existence of era. Thinking of Zhu Bing, he turned his gaze back to Godslayer. Speaking of which, after Zhu Bing obtains the power of faith, will he no longer fall from the level of Zhu Bing? Yes, that's true.
yes.
Qin Shujian nodded. It seemed that not only was the path taken in this era different, even some of the methods used were different. In the third epoch, Yi Zichen's eyes lit up. The power of faith could create gods.
Commonly known as
Investiture. When a mortal obtained the power of faith and became a god, they would possess extraordinary power. The more powerful the power of faith was, the more powerful it was. The more powerful the gods were, the more powerful they were. In the third era, there were gods who relied on the power of faith to reach the Tao fruit level. It was a pity. He was still reduced to ashes by the Great Tribulation. It was also an application of the power of faith. The gods of the third era were completely integrated with the power of faith, almost to the point of living and dying together. In the current era, the utilization of faith power by living beings was more like a form of plunder. Plunder this faith to complete a metamorphosis. But after completing the metamorphosis, they could still use the power of faith to fight against the enemy, but this power of faith would never disappear. They would not fall to the mortal world because of the destruction of the race they believed in. But it was the same. Furthermore, ancestral armaments would not become more powerful just because they possessed more power of faith. Because Zhu Bing was based on faith. But he was not nourished by faith. Once Zhu Bing was formed, Faith would completely become his foundation. If he wanted to improve in the future, he would need to plunder the power of the flesh and blood of living beings to improve his strength. Comparing the two, each had its own benefits. At least the gods of the Third Era did not have any tribulations. In this era, Zhu Bing still needed to go through the tribulation. But in Qin Shujian's opinion, Zhu Bing of this era was actually much more powerful than the gods of the Third Era. Zhu Bing cultivated himself. The gods survived by faith. In comparison, Zhu Bing was more like a real cultivator who focused on his own power. Unlike the gods, once they lost the faith of living beings, they would completely fall to the dust. Although the path of a cultivator is different, the utilization of faith has improved a lot. This is probably one of the advantages of this era. Qin Shujian finished the spirit tea in front of him, and his heart wavered. In any of the eras that were destroyed, in fact, they all had their shortcomings. Because of the shortcomings, that era would end. So there was no possibility that the older the era, the more powerful it was. Instead, from the birth of each era to the end, the next era would become more perfect. Qin Shujian wanted to know which epoch was the current one in. But unfortunately, it seemed that this era had never produced a powerhouse above the level of a true immortal. No one could give him an answer. God Slayer, who was sitting at the side. At this moment, his heart was in a mess and he felt a little restless. Qin Shujian was deep in thought. He did not talk to him. But for some reason, the god-slaying saber still felt an immense pressure. Such pressure, he had never felt such pressure from so many hosts in the past. Even when facing the Emperor of Heaven, Qin Song, Godslayer did not feel such pressure. Probably, this is the terror of a Dao fruit powerhouse. Even if he has just awakened his innate wisdom, he is not comparable to an ordinary person. He could only comfort himself in this way. Half an hour later, Qin Shujian woke up from his contemplation and observed his own situation. His inner world had been established. One sand, one world. Heaven and earth could be infinitely big or infinitely small. But if he wanted to establish a new world in his physical body, he had to break it down and then completely shed his mortal body. The current Qin Shujian. His physical body looked normal, but it was completely different from before. If one had to make a comparison, it was probably equivalent to the immortal body of a true immortal. But the difference was, Qin Shujian's physical body could evolve with heaven and earth and become stronger step by step. Even in the situation where he had just established a new world, his physical body was stronger than an ordinary immortal body. The strength of my physical body should be at the level of a third-level immortal. Overall strength should be at the level of a fourth-level immortal. He had taken a new path. Qin Shujian could no longer use the standards of this world to measure his realm.
Similarly,
the division of realms in the Third Era was also not suitable for him, because of the path he was taking now. It was a new path that was deduced from the Third Era and combined with the cultivation system of this new era. It seems that I have to create a new system now, Qin Shujian thought to himself. Then he calmed his mind and appeared in his inner world in the next instant. Heaven and earth were barren. It was only 1,000,000 miles in size. There was no great Yin and no great sun. In the position of the vault of heaven, there was a mother stream flowing quietly. At this moment, the mother stream of laws was very empty and very weak. This was because the mother stream of laws was the combination of all the laws of heaven and earth. In other words, the more laws there were in heaven and earth, the stronger the mother stream of laws would be. On the contrary, the rarer and weaker the laws of heaven and earth, the weaker the mother stream of laws would be. The divine thought incarnation walked in the inner world. Qin Shujian could sense the desolation of heaven and earth. The laws are incomplete. The lack of laws is serious. Heaven and earth are also desolate and not strong enough. There are no living creatures born. Rather than saying that this is a complete world, it is better to say that it is a small world created by a true immortal. Different from a true immortal's small world, I can completely control the power of heaven and earth. And the stronger the heaven and earth, the stronger the power I can use. If the laws of heaven and earth are complete, then as the ruler of heaven and earth, my strength will officially return to its previous peak and even be stronger than before. At this moment, Qin Shu Jian had a lot of understanding. But to expand heaven and earth and fill in the laws was not an easy task. Now in heaven and earth, power, forging, array Dao, alchemy Dao. The power of the four laws were the laws that Qin Shu Jian had originally comprehended. After heaven and earth were created, he borrowed a trace of the laws to be reborn here. In other words, the four laws in his inner world could only be said to be a seed that had not yet sprouted, let alone grown into a giant tree.
So,
letting heaven and earth have more seeds of laws was one of the things. Then letting the seeds sprout and grow into real laws was another thing. So, what I have to do next is to comprehend enough laws in the greater thousand world, and then let the same seeds be born in my inner world. Only then can heaven and earth become stronger. In that case, the world in front of me should be considered a small world with laws, but the laws are far from stable and complete. Next is the middle thousand world, and then the greater thousand world. Qin Shu Jian used the level of his inner world as the division of his current strength. He had just opened up a small world. His strength was roughly equivalent to that of a fourth-tier true immortal. If it was promoted to a middle thousand world, his strength would be at the level of an upper-tier true immortal and half-step Dao fruit. As for the greater thousand world, he would have completely stepped into the Dao fruit level. I can put the matter of the epic aside for now. Instead, the demon abyss and the void demons are the current problems. The void demons are born in the outer realm and have a long lifespan, almost to the extent of being immortal. This method is somewhat similar to the methods of the third epoch, but I can't be sure immediately since I haven't seen it. As for the demon abyss, it is rumored that a Dao fruit expert opened up a world. It seems to be true, but this world should not have given birth to a Dao fruit. It could have been born but later left. But no matter what, the demon abyss must be related to the Dao fruit level. After all, the void demons are immortal and only Zhu Bing can kill them. To a certain extent, they are already in existence born from the origin. Such an existence is actually a Dao fruit expert that has been weakened countless times. Qin Shujian's mind was spinning wildly. Although he had reached the Dao fruit level, it was a matter of the third epoch. Who knew which epoch it was now? Moreover, his strength had weakened to a freezing point. Not to mention the Dao fruit, he was half-step Dao fruit. If there was really an upper three true immortal in front of him, Qin Shujian felt that he was not a match for him.
So,
even if he had awakened the innate wisdom, the void demons and the demon abyss were both a big problem. If the void demons and the demon abyss could not survive the calamity, then it would be a big joke. There were two things to do now. First, they had to get rid of the void demons guarding the Great Thousand World. Second, kill the demon abyss.
Soon,
Qin Shujian retreated from the inner world. After re-establishing his life goal, he was in a good mood. Breakthrough ahead. Awakening the innate wisdom. The impact of too many memories made Qin Shujian almost chaotic, and he also forgot what his goal was. Now, after carefully thinking about it, he finally understood. But before that, I have something to do. Qin Shujian thought of something, and a meaningful smile appeared on his face. Qin Shujian. But he had never been a magnanimous person. Then, Qin Shujian said faintly, I said, I should be in front of Xiao Qingfeng. After saying that, then, under Godslayer's shocked gaze, he directly disappeared. My words are law. He was stunned. My words are law. Godslayer did not expect that there was really someone who could achieve the level of my words are law. For such a rumored method. He had also heard of it from the Emperor of Heaven. However, even the Emperor of Heaven had only comprehended the existence of my words are law, but there was no way to really use it.
Until now.
It was the Godslayer's first time seeing a living my words are law.
Soon,
he realized another thing. Qin Shujian, you left me out. Godslayer hurriedly ran outside. The Xiao family. Xiao Qingfeng was drinking tea alone, as well as playing chess alone. All of a sudden, without any warning, there was one more person in front of him. Qin Shujian. Xiao Qingfeng's pupils suddenly shrank, and even his hand that was playing chess directly stopped. He was sure. When the other person just appeared, he did not feel anything. As if the person in front of him had always been here. This feeling. Suddenly, Xiao Qingfeng felt a vague sense of oppression. Just as he was shocked, Qin Shujian said with a smile, "Brother Xiao, playing chess alone is too boring." Hearing that, Xiao Qingfeng forcibly suppressed the shock in his heart, looked at the person in front of him and said, "I have always been used to playing chess alone. If Qin Shujian is also proficient in chess, you and I can play chess." Now he had recovered. Just now, he did not notice Qin Shujian's appearance at all. Xiao Qingfeng attributed it to him being distracted. Ben Huang also dabbles in chess. Since Brother Xiao is interested, then Ben Huang will accompany you to the end. But I haven't played chess for many years, and am a bit rusty. I hope Brother Xiao can be merciful. Qin Shujian's face showed a kind smile.
To this,
Xiao Qingfeng said, "Qin Shujian, you are too modest." While speaking, he did not think so in his heart.
how old was Qin Shujian?
Even if he was a chess genius, he would not be a match for him, let alone whether he was really wasting his time. After all, he had played chess for tens of thousands of years. "I will not take advantage of Qin Shujian. I will let you play black first, and I will let you play 3 pieces. How about that?" Xiao Qingfeng was generous enough to go easy on him. Last time, he beat Qin Shujian up. Although Qin Shujian did not say anything on the surface, it was hard to guarantee that he would not have any thoughts. If he were to crush Qin Shujian again in the game of chess, Qin Shujian would not be able to bring himself to do so. Xiao Qingfeng was already thinking, what should he do to make Qin Shujian lose with dignity? As for admitting defeat, that did not exist. Qin Shujian did not refuse. He nodded and said, "Okay, thank you for letting me play first." After that, he had already put down a piece. Then he put down 2 more pieces. Xiao Qingfeng smiled confidently. He picked up a chess piece and placed it down. After a quarter of an hour, Xiao Qingfeng's forehead was covered with sweat. His right hand holding the piece was in the air, and he did not know how to put it down. Even with the experience of his previous life and the deduction of his current cultivation, he could not deduce a way out at all. Opposite him, Qin Shujian took out the human emperor fan and fanned it gently. There was a gentle smile on his face. He was not in a hurry. He did not urge him. He allowed Xiao Qingfeng to think about countermeasures. Half an hour later, Xiao Qingfeng put down the piece in his hand weakly and sighed. "I lost." After that, he added, "I did not expect Qin Shujian to be so good at chess. It seems that I underestimated him. This time you and I will have a fair game." Xiao Qingfeng could not accept his loss in the last game. Let the pieces go later. One step behind, one step behind. It was as if Qin Shujian had completely predicted the future. His every move was restricted, and he was forced into a dead end. For this matter, Xiao Qingfeng could not accept it no matter what. After all, he had tens of thousands of years of experience. There was absolutely no reason for him to lose to a junior. For Xiao Qingfeng's request, Qin Shujian did not refuse. He nodded and said, "Okay, let's have another game." "I lost." When Xiao Qingfeng said this, he was already sweating profusely. He lost again. It was worse than last time. Last time, he held on for a quarter of an hour. This time, he did not even hold on for a quarter of an hour and was completely defeated. It was a simple game. It made Xiao Qingfeng feel like he had a life and death battle with a top expert. No, it should be a one-sided beating. 2 games. Xiao Qingfeng was doubting himself. He did not dare to believe it. With tens of thousands of years of experience in chess, he was defeated by Qin Shujian. And he was defeated so miserably. Looking at Xiao Qingfeng's gloomy face, Qin Shujian decided to give him another chance. "Last time, after I verified with Brother Xiao, Ben Huang went into seclusion for a while. I accidentally gained something. This time, I am also itching to have another game with Brother Xiao. I wonder if Brother Xiao is willing? I gained something. Xiao Qingfeng raised his eyebrows slightly. He withdrew his attention from the chessboard. He was sure. The current Qin Shu Jian definitely had not broken through to the true immortal realm. This way. Xiao Qingfeng was relieved. Since he lost badly in chess, he also wanted to find a chance to save face. For this. He nodded and said, since Qin Shu Jian said so, I will not refuse. Then let's go. Qin Shu Jian got up and walked outside. Xiao Qingfeng was not far behind.
Soon.
The two of them came to the void. This was the void of the East Continent. If they went further up, it would be the layer of heaven and earth squall. If they wanted to enter there, they must have an immortal body. Or else, any cultivator who entered there would immediately be crushed into powder. Although Qin Shu Jian and Xiao Qingfeng's bodies were not weaker than an immortal body, the two of them did not enter the layer of heaven and earth squall. After all, it was just a game. There was no need to choose such a dangerous place. Qin Shu Jian clasped his hands behind his back and said lightly, just like last time, you and I will not use the power of rules or any divine weapons. We will only use the means of our own existence. After the evolution of his inner world, he could no longer borrow the power of heaven and earth, so he could not use the rules that he had previously comprehended. Because, strictly speaking, Qin Shu Jian was now a walking heaven and earth. Although it was countless times weaker than the vast thousand domains, it was essentially the same. This way, how could one heaven and earth borrow the power of another heaven and earth? No problem. Xiao Qingfeng nodded.
Seeing this,
Qin Shu Jian smiled. Then please make your move, Brother Xiao. Be careful. Xiao Qingfeng did not talk nonsense. He took a step forward, and his physical strength had already shattered the void. Then, he threw a punch, and a terrifying power exploded in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. A simple punch, but the power was already comparable to a true immortal's attack. Supreme Foundation. It allowed Xiao Qingfeng, at the heavenly being level, to have a combat power of 400,000.
To this,
Qin Shu Jian did not move, and when the attack was about to hit him, he suddenly stretched out a fist. In an instant, the two fists collided. The void was quietly destroyed and shattered.
Then,
Xiao Qingfeng felt as if his body was struck by lightning and then flew out uncontrollably into the distance. At this moment, his face was full of astonishment. It was as if he had not yet recovered from his shock. How did he get blasted out? However, Xiao Qingfeng's shock did not stop Qin Shu Jian. He took a step forward, and his body had already disappeared from where he was. In the next second, he had already appeared in front of Xiao Qingfeng. Brother Xiao, be careful. After saying this, he threw a punch. A punch landed on his stomach, and a terrifying power spilled out, almost shattering his physical body. In an instant, Xiao Qingfeng only felt an unbearable pain in his stomach, and his internal organs were completely overturned by this punch. Not only that, he also felt that Qin Shu Jian's punch had temporarily sealed his true essence, and there was no way for him to use his true essence to counterattack. Xiao Qingfeng was about to speak, but unfortunately, Qin Shu Jian did not give him a chance. Another punch was thrown. This time, it was to hit his face.
Bang, bang, bang.
Qin Shu Jian punched and kicked, and Xiao Qingfeng did not have any power to fight back, and was beaten up in the void. The control of power. He did it very well. The power of each blow was just right. Since the opponent felt pain, there would not be any serious injuries. Brother Xiao, why don't you fight back?
Bang.
Brother Xiao, fight back.
Bang.
Brother Xiao, your strength has regressed recently. Bang. In the void, Qin Shu Jian did not stop attacking. Xiao Qingfeng's heart was filled with rage, and he was extremely shocked. He suddenly realized Qin Shu Jian's strength had skyrocketed to an extremely terrifying level. He did not use the power of rules, but he could beat him until he could not fight back. Especially the method of sealing his true essence, it was even more shocking. After an unknown period of time, Qin Shujian threw another punch, and Xiao Qingfeng finally could not help but let out a scream. The seal of true essence was finally broken, and a vast amount of true essence flowed out of his body. The original injuries on his body were all healed the moment the true essence flowed. Emperor Qin. Xiao Qingfeng clenched his fists and planned to rush up to avenge his humiliation.
To this,
Qin Shujian gently waved his folding fan, and his expression was calm. Brother Xiao, do you still want to fight? If you still want to, I can accompany you to the end. Xiao Qingfeng's chest rose and fell violently. Still want to fight? Thinking of the one-sided beating he had just received, he deduced what his chances of winning would be if they fought again. After a long while, Xiao Qingfeng felt a chill in his heart. He realized that no matter how he fought, there seemed to be no chance of winning. Unless, only by using all of their trump cards, including their rules and ancestral armaments, would they be able to contend against Chu Feng. But in that case, it would not be a spar, but a battle to the death.
So,
Xiao Qingfeng suppressed this impulse and said with a bitter smile, I lost this battle. I did not expect that in just 2 or 3 months, Emperor Qin's strength had improved so quickly. I am afraid that Emperor Qin can already break through to the true immortal realm. In his opinion, Qin Shujian's strength could already break through to the true immortal realm at any time. And once he broke through, he was a true powerhouse among the true immortals. According to Xiao Qingfeng's estimation, when Qin Shujian was a level 1 true immortal, he could have the strength of a level 4 true immortal. This was a terrifying leap, but this was often the case. To have the strength of a level 3 true immortal, even in the ancient heavenly court, he was a true powerhouse. To reach that level, even the emperors of small clans were about that level. Of course, Xiao Qingfeng knew, if he broke through, his strength could also stay at the level 4 true immortal realm. This was the advantage of building a supreme foundation. Otherwise, there was no need for him to work so hard to build a supreme foundation. True immortal? Qin Shujian shook his head slightly and said, Ben Huang will not break through to the true immortal realm. What do you mean? Xiao Qingfeng's expression changed. The other party's words made him feel confused.
Then,
Xiao Qingfeng immediately reacted, and his gaze became serious. Could it be that Emperor Qin has created a new system, so he did not walk the path of a true immortal? He was not a stupid person. Plus his identity in his previous life. Not many people could compare to Xiao Qingfeng's knowledge. Because of this, as soon as Qin Shujian opened his mouth to speak, he immediately realized that Qin Shujian's path was not that of a true immortal.
Then,
Xiao Qingfeng felt relieved. That's right. Emperor Qin is already so powerful without breaking through to the true immortal realm. He must have taken another path. I am not being arrogant, but the path of a true immortal, on the level of a celestial being, no one can compare to me. Because what I have built is the most complete foundation. If everyone walked the same path, Xiao Qingfeng believed that in the vast 1,000 worlds, no one could be stronger than him at the same level. This was the confidence of a strong person. As for the new system that Qin Shujian had taken, in Xiao Qingfeng's opinion, it should have surpassed the original celestial being level and was moving towards a higher level. This level, he did not know what level it was. But the level that the other party was in now must be the same as the true immortal realm. Or else, it was impossible for him to be so miserable. This was Xiao Qingfeng's confidence, and the only explanation that could make him feel relieved.
To this,
Qin Shujian could guess what Xiao Qingfeng was thinking, but he did not expose him. If Xiao Qingfeng knew that the supreme foundation he was so proud of was nothing in front of Qin Shujian, Xiao Qingfeng's Dao heart would probably collapse. Actually, the path that Brother Xiao is taking is almost equivalent to opening up a new system. While they were talking, Qin Shujian's gaze fell on Xiao Qingfeng, and he looked at him deeply. Casting the supreme foundation, turning yourself into a perfect carrier. When you break through to the true immortal realm, you directly use your physical body to carry the rules. This method is very different from the normal path of a true immortal, and then gradually master the rules of the true immortal realm. Although it is also borrowing the rules of heaven and earth, but seriously speaking, your current system is already a new one. A new system. Xiao Qingfeng looked a little confused. He had never thought that the system that he was taking would be a new one. But Qin Shujian's words. However, he suddenly woke up from his stupor. That's right. The system that he was taking was a new one. It was also the rules. But a normal true immortal took the path of controlling the rules. Strictly speaking, although the rules were controlled by cultivators, they still belonged to heaven and earth, and were equivalent to borrowing the power of heaven and earth. It was just that the power that a true immortal borrowed was of a higher level and purer than the power that a heavenly being borrowed. But the path that he was taking now, it was the path of using his physical body to carry the rules.
Such a method.
It was equivalent to taking away the rules from heaven and earth, and then gathering the power in himself. In that case, it was two different cultivation systems. Qin Shujian's words. Xiao Qingfeng was completely enlightened. Originally, he had always thought that the path that he was taking was actually the same as before. It was just that before breaking through to the true immortal realm, he would strengthen his foundation, and then when he broke through, his strength would become stronger. But Xiao Qingfeng only realized now. It turned out that he had always been wrong.
Suddenly,
Xiao Qingfeng stood in the void, and his expression kept changing. He had already fallen into some kind of enlightenment. The scene in front of him, Qin Shujian, did not disturb him. He knew that Xiao Qingfeng was taking a new path because the path that he was taking was exactly the same as that of the third era. Or rather, the path that the first, second, and third eras took was the same. Qin Shujian did not know in the past. But after awakening his innate wisdom, he suddenly realized. It turned out that the path taken in this era was different from the previous eras. But the path that Xiao Qingfeng took, it was the style of the ancient era. Every era's path has its advantages and disadvantages. However, in terms of strength, the paths of the first three eras should be the strongest. However, it also depends on the situation. Perhaps someone who walked on the path of this era would be stronger. That's not necessarily the case. Qin Shujian thought to himself. He thought of Zhao Huang. The other party walked the path of the rules and regulations. The normal true immortal system.
But
Emperor Zhao was extremely powerful. At the very least, from Qin Shujian's point of view, Emperor Zhao was not weak at all. He was not sure about the ancient era and the ancient era. But in this era, Zhao Huang was definitely one of the best. He could even be called the most powerful person in the world. If there were any experts in the 4 continents who had the hope of breaking through the true immortal limit, then Zhao Huang was one. Xiao Qingfeng in front of him was one. But hope is still hope. Whether or not one can really reach that step depends on one's luck. Qin Shujian shook his head. Not to mention the two of them. Even if it was him, he was not sure that he could break through the Dao fruit realm by taking a new path. For this, Qin Shujian did not regret it. The failure of the third era proved that the path that he took was still flawed. If he did not want to repeat the same mistake, in that case he had to take a new path. He was not completely sure whether the path that he took would be strong or weak in the end. However, Qin Shujian was willing to take a gamble. Half a day later, Xiao Qingfeng woke up from his enlightenment. Then, he looked at Qin Shujian and bowed deeply. Thank you for your guidance, Emperor Qin. Xiao Qingfeng is very grateful.
This bow.
He thanked the other party for pointing out the path and enlightening him. It had nothing to do with their identities. It was just a favor for pointing out the path. Qin Shujian calmly accepted the other party's bow. When Xiao Qingfeng straightened up, he smiled and said, "It seems like Brother Xiao has gained quite a lot. It should not take too long for you to break through to the true immortal realm. At most 3 months, at least 1 month, I will be able to prove my Dao and become an immortal." Xiao Qingfeng nodded. Originally, he thought that there should be a year for him to prove his Dao. But now he realized, if he did not understand himself, there was a high chance that he would fail. now that he understood himself. Xiao Qingfeng had 100% confidence now. At the same time, the time for him to prove his Tao and become an immortal was much earlier. The onlooker sees the game clearly. I was originally blind. Thanks to Emperor Qin's guidance, I was able to walk out of my confusion. Xiao Qingfeng sighed. However, there was a smile on his face. It should be a coincidence that Qin Shujian pointed him out. It was as if he could not see the leaf. What he could not see clearly would be seen clearly by others. In this battle, although Xiao Qingfeng lost miserably, he understood himself and gained a lot, which led to him being beaten up. He also chose to forget. He could not forget. With Qin Shujian's current strength, there was no way he could fight back. Unless he proved his Tao and became an immortal one day, then he would have a chance to save face today. After returning from the void, Xiao Qingfeng went into seclusion again. Although he understood himself, he still needed some time to integrate. This was also the reason why he needed 1 to 3 months to break through to the true immortal realm. On the other side, Qin Shujian returned to the courtyard. The moment he entered the courtyard, looking at the empty courtyard, his expression was somewhat startled. Where is the saber? Qin Shujian found that the God-Slayer seemed to have disappeared. Immediately, his divine consciousness spread out and covered the entire Qianyuan realm. Not long after, Qin Shujian found where the God-slaying saber was. After sending a message to the other party, he retracted his divine consciousness. Sitting on the stone bench, he looked at the scene in front of him in a daze. His thoughts had already drifted to another place. With my current strength, I should be able to flip the table. P.S. It only said that it might be completed within the next 2 months, not immediately. Don't worry, the holes left behind will definitely be filled. If it takes longer to fill them all up, then it will naturally take a little longer to complete. Please vote. Chapter 708. The Strength of a 4th Level Immortal. At the moment, he could already be considered the number 1 person in the 4 continents. Of course, this did not include the existences in Heavenly Abyss and the Sea of Death. If those 2 places were taken into account, then Qin Shujian was now a younger brother. A 4th level immortal is still not safe enough. Sect Master Qin sat on the stone bench and sighed faintly. If the myriad races don't have any other trump cards, it's about time. However, it seems that it's best to wait for the human race to have 1 or 2 more perfected immortals. If Xiao Qingfeng proves his Tao and becomes an immortal, he will definitely be an expert comparable to a 4th level immortal. If there are 2 4th level immortals, it should be enough. Was it enough? In fact, Qin Shujian himself was not confident. If it was in the past, if he could sweep through the 4 continents with his strength. But the problem was, in just over a year, many emperors had succeeded in proving their Tao.
Until now,
there were already 50 to 60 perfected immortals. Even if a 4th level immortal could crush a 1st level immortal, he would not be a match for so many perfected immortals. Unless Qin Shujian's strength could be increased by another step before he had a chance to suppress all those perfected immortals. But he had to go 1 step further. It was not an easy task. If you want to resist the outside, you have to settle the inside first. Although the myriad races are most likely united in dealing with the void demons and the demon abyss, they are not absolutely stable. Qin Shujian tapped his finger on the stone table gently. If he wanted to unite the myriad races, it was not an easy task. From Zhu Bing's words, he knew that there was actually more than 1 expert in this era who wanted to unite the myriad races, but they all failed. The first was the ancient demon emperor. All the races in the world belonged to the demon race, and in the end, he was beaten to death. The second was the Emperor of Heaven. He established the heavenly court and ruled the myriad races in the world. In the end, he expanded the influence of the heavenly court step by step, and then weakened the influence of the races to achieve the goal of unification. Unfortunately, the arrival of the demon abyss broke the Emperor of Heaven's plan. Although both of them had failed in the matter of ruling the myriad races, it had indirectly proved one thing. As long as it was an expert with foresight, Their goal was to unify the myriad races. Only by grasping all the power of heaven and earth in one's hands would one be qualified to do other things. Judging from the current situation of the Devil Abyss, there's still some time, about 30 to 50 years. The evil void demons can't break through the heaven and earth barrier now, so there's actually quite a lot of time left for the human race. In other words, I have quite a lot of time left. Qin Shujian's mind spun. After obtaining the memories of the Third Era, his body had undergone some transformations, even though his strength did not change much. But in reality, combined with the various means of the Third Era, one's strength would also undergo a great change. He thought of the methods of the Third Era. Qin Shujian shook his head again, with a regretful look on his face. It's a pity that the laws of the universe are different now. Many of the techniques of the Third Era can't be used in this era. Unless I can break through to the Dao Fruit realm and ignore the restraints of the universe. There were rules in heaven and earth. There were rules in the outer realm as well. However, at the end of all laws, there was the law of the universe. This was the strongest existence in an epoch. If one surpassed the laws of heaven and earth and touched the laws of the universe, it was equivalent to the half-step Dao Fruit realm. If one broke free from the restraints of the laws of the universe, that was the true Dao Fruit. This was also why the evil void demons pursued the sacred demon realm. The living beings of heaven and earth were bound by the laws of heaven and earth. The outer realm was also bound by the laws of the outer realm. The two were completely different, but they were of the same origin. In different eras, the laws of the universe were different. Therefore, it was naturally not easy to use the methods of the Third Era. Or else, Qin Shujian did not have to think so much now. Just relying on the memories of the Third Era was enough to deal with all the true immortals. Until now, what he could use were only a few techniques that were compatible with the laws of the universe. Forget it, let's wait a little longer. It's too risky now. Qin Shujian finally decided to wait a little longer. At this time, he flipped the table. It was too risky. If the human race suffered heavy losses because of the war, it was not in line with his expectations.
Then,
Qin Shujian focused his attention on himself. Until now, he had only sorted out some things in the long memories of the Third Era and had a preliminary understanding of his own inner world. Apart from that, Qin Shujian was still confused by the many other methods he had used. Endless years of memories. It was a good thing. It could give him incomparably rich experience and unparalleled knowledge. But it was also a bad thing. Because in the long years, many things were buried in the dust. If he wanted to find something useful to him, he would have to flip through it bit by bit and search for it. Sometimes he would have a flash of inspiration. He might remember some things that he had forgotten.
now,
Qin Shujian completely understood what the Godslayer often said in the past. Some things were forgotten. It was really not easy to remember. The Dharma eyes look a little familiar. It seems a little like the methods of the Second Era's experts. To be able to survive several eras and still have methods left behind, they should be Dao Fruit experts. But there are only a few Dao Fruits in the Second Era. I know them all. Qin Shujian thought of his Dharma eyes. The experts of the Second Era had an extremely powerful eye technique that could peer into the universe and search for the origin of everything. Dharma eyes. It was like the predecessor of this powerful eye technique. However, Qin Shujian had seen the experts of the Second Era in the Third Era. He was basically sure. No one had left behind Dharma eyes. In other words, the ones who left behind Dharma eyes should have been experts who had died in the Second Era. In this way, it could explain why he who had the Third Era could not recognize them. At such a level, as long as there is a backup plan left behind, it is impossible for them to really die. The Cauldron Cave Mansion might be an opportunity for rebirth. Qin Shujian's eyes lit up. The Cauldron Cave Mansion. Without a doubt, it was a method left behind by the Second Era. Even after the end of an era, it was not destroyed. With the beginning of a new era, it reappeared in the Great Thousand World. Regarding this matter, Qin Shu Jian was not too surprised. At such a level, who did not have a backup plan? However, it was impossible for him to not care about the method left behind by an unfamiliar Dao fruit expert. This era, it was very important to Qin Shu Jian. I still need to put in more effort to search for the Cauldron Cave Mansion. After all, it is not easy to find the method left behind by a Dao fruit expert. He shook his head. Qin Shu Jian directly entered the mother stream of precepts. Ever since he broke through to the 9th level of the celestial being realm, it was his first time entering the mother stream of precepts. He had entered the mother stream of precepts. Qin Shu Jian wanted to comprehend the power law. However, this time, he entered the mother stream of precepts to give the seeds of the ordinary laws of his inner world. Rumble. The moment he entered the mother stream of precepts, he saw the long river shaking. The river water that was originally flowing calmly in the mother stream was surging like raging waves. In an instant, Qin Shu Jian was in a precarious situation. Before he could observe the situation around him, waves hit him. Boom! Qin Shu Jian punched out and forcefully extinguished the waves. Then he took a step forward and advanced in the mother stream. It was different from before. This time, he entered the mother stream of precepts with his real body. Logically speaking, it was impossible for a true immortal to enter the mother stream of precepts as a true immortal. However, Qin Shu Jian walked a new system that he created himself. To a certain extent, he was already in existence on the same level as heaven and earth. Therefore, entering the mother stream of precepts was naturally not a problem. However, at the same time, because of the inner world and the new system, Qin Shu Jian entering the mother stream of precepts was an intruder to the vast thousand world. He was considered a thief who existed to steal the heaven and earth law. Therefore, the mother stream of precepts that was originally not a threat to cultivators became extremely dangerous at this moment. This is quite troublesome. Qin Shu Jian's expression was solemn. Every step he took was a powerful threat. The mother stream of precepts. It was the origin of the vast thousand world. In other words, if the vast thousand world was compared to a cultivator, the other party was equivalent to a complete Dao fruit powerhouse. Now, what he did was to enter a Dao fruit powerhouse's house to steal things, even if the other party did not care. But with some instinctive counterattacks, he could easily crush a true immortal of any level. Therefore, Qin Shu Jian had to treat it seriously. If a true immortal entered and died, he would really die. At this moment, it was not an exaggeration to say that he was treading on thin ice. However, Qin Shu Jian had his own reasons for being so confident. At this moment, the mother stream of precepts surged and shook, and wave after wave flooded towards the intruder. In the beginning, Qin Shu Jian could still rely on his own strength to extinguish the waves. But in the end, he had no choice but to take out the Godslayer. Boom! His inner world shook, and surging power filled his body. Immediately, Zubing's power was completely activated. The saber slashed down. The waves that came over were split into two. After breaking through the inner world, Qin Shu Jian was no different from a true immortal. He could perfectly use Zubing's power and could also support the consumption. After all, there was a heaven and earth in his body. Consumption was naturally not a problem. Very soon, Qin Shu Jian locked onto the nearest long river of precepts. Without thinking, he used Zubing to slash out and tore a gap in the long river of precepts. Then he took a step into it. He entered the long river of precepts. Qin Shu Jian casually put away the Godslayer and walked steadily in it, feeling the terrifying power that filled the surroundings. His purpose for coming here, it was to comprehend the existence of the precepts and nurture the precept seeds for his inner world. If he used the Godslayer to slash around, it would be different from his idea. So, after putting away the Godslayer, Qin Shu Jian walked in the long river of precepts while comprehending the precepts' power in the river. Just like the mother stream of precepts, the long river of precepts had also discovered the existence of the intruder. Endless pressure came from all directions, causing Qin Shu Jian to feel a great deal of pressure. However, this pressure was much smaller than the mother stream of precepts. With Qin Shujian's current foundation, blocking it was not a problem. Southern continent. In a sealed secret realm, countless long swords were scattered. It was like a vast valley of swords. Every long sword. It was as if they were living cultivators, inhaling and exhaling the spirit energy of heaven and earth. The entire secret realm. It was filled with terrifying sword aura, turning this place into a terrifying land of death. The Sword Clan. It was a race formed by the divine weapon longsword that had gained sentience. The Sword Clan was not weak. In the past, they were considered one of the more powerful clans. However, because there were too few divine weapons that could give birth to sentience and evolve into flesh and blood, this clan was extremely rare. So, the Sword Clan had always been lukewarm. Until recently. The Sword Emperor's breakthrough to true immortal caused the Sword Clan to rise from a small clan to a large clan. In the center of the Sword Clan's secret realm, a crystal palace stood in the center of the palace. A middle-aged man in a white robe was sitting on the throne in the palace. As he inhaled and exhaled, a sea of sword energy gathered and pure sword energy exhaled. These pure sword energy exhaled and exhaled. It was immediately divided by all the clansmen in the Sword Clan's secret realm. All of a sudden, the Sword Emperor's heart palpitated, and he suddenly opened his eyes. Someone entered Ben Huang's Sword Dao Law.
Soon.
He understood what was going on. Regarding this, the Sword Emperor was not angry. He was just extremely confused. Any law with an owner could not allow other cultivators to enter, because the law monument had already recognized an owner. The long river of precepts also had a layer of barrier. Even if a true immortal attacked, he could not force his way into an owner's law. Because once a true immortal intruded into an unfamiliar law with an owner, it would automatically trigger the law's counterattack. A moment of carelessness would result in death. More importantly, in an unfamiliar long river of precepts, the intruder would not be able to use his original law. As a result, if he encountered an enemy in an owner's law, the probability of a true immortal dying was even higher. So this was what the Sword Emperor was really confused about. As for experts who were not true immortals, there was no possibility of entering an owner's law. After a brief moment of confusion, the Sword Emperor did not think too much about it. Since the law monument told him that an expert had entered his Sword Dao Law, then as the ruler of the Sword Dao Law, he naturally had to step forward. The Sword Emperor stretched out his hand and slashed forward. The void instantly cracked open. Immediately after, he took a step forward and disappeared from the palace. The long river of precepts. Qin Shujian destroyed the waves with a flick of his finger. When the waves collapsed, there was a weak rule power that overflowed. His divine consciousness spread out and captured the rule power that overflowed, wanting to comprehend the corresponding law from it. However, the overflowed power was too weak and did not have much of an effect at all. Comprehending the law is not an easy task. There is still a long way to go. Qin Shujian was silent in his heart. His footsteps did not stop as he continued to walk forward. Facing the intruder, the long river of laws shook crazily. The waves set off by the river were each stronger than the last. After walking to a certain extent, Qin Shujian also felt the pressure. But after entering for so long, he had never encountered an expert's shadow to stop him. To this, he did not have to wonder for too long before he roughly understood what was going on. It was also at this moment, a hole appeared in the long river of laws. A person walked in from within and directly blocked in front of Qin Shujian. Qin Emperor. Seeing the intruder, the Sword Emperor's expression instantly turned solemn. He did not expect the one who broke into his law was not a true immortal as he expected, but the human clan's Qin Emperor. Of course. The Sword Emperor was also very clear that although Qin Shujian was not a true immortal, his strength was much more terrifying than a true immortal. When he saw Qin Shujian also recognized the identity of the person who came. Sword Emperor. His brows raised slightly. Qin Shujian also did not expect that the long river of laws he entered would be the one controlled by the Sword Emperor. for the Sword Clan. He also had some understanding. After all, among the thousands of clans in the world, some were very normal, while some were quite magical and ingenious. The Sword Clan was one of them. Any expert of the Sword Clan was a powerful magic weapon, and the Sword Emperor was one of the best. I wonder what Qin Emperor's purpose is to break into Benhuang's law. The Sword Emperor's eyes were cold, and his voice was neither fast nor slow. But my Sword Clan has never had any conflicts with the human clan. Qin Emperor, please leave. Otherwise, if we fight, it will inevitably hurt the relationship between both sides. He did not want to fight with Qin Shujian. Even if it was his own home ground, it was the same. The Sword Emperor understood. Qin Shujian's strength, even if he did not use the power of the law, was extremely powerful. He was not confident that he could kill him here. If he only expelled Qin Shujian, it was inevitable that both sides would become hostile. Therefore, the Sword Emperor hoped that Qin Shujian would take the initiative to leave. Of course, if he was confident that he could keep him here forever, that would be another matter. Hearing that, Qin Shujian smiled slightly. I heard that the Sword Emperor's cultivation in the sword principle is superb. Benhuang happens to be interested in seeing you and wants to learn from you. You want to snatch the path from Benhuang. The Sword Emperor's heart was filled with killing intent, and the way he looked at Qin Shujian had completely changed. Snatching the path. He had only heard of it in rumors. But after breaking through to the true immortal realm, the Sword Emperor also understood that snatching the path was real. That was to break into the law with an owner with absolute strength, defeat the owner, and snatch the law monument to leave one's name. That was snatching the path. For any true immortal, snatching the path. It was a hatred that would not end until one of them was dead. Now, Qin Shujian's words, in the Sword Emperor's eyes, were blatantly snatching the path.
Since he had said that,
the Sword Emperor naturally would not take any chances. He raised his hand, and the long river of law raged. Countless long swords condensed out of thin air, and they were already slashing towards Qin Shujian. Snatcher. He must die. No matter what identity he had, the final result was the same. Good timing. Qin Shujian's eyes lit up, and he also punched out. The two forces collided. All the long swords that had condensed were met with a destructive blow, and they were shattered halfway. Seeing this, the Sword Emperor did not panic and pointed his finger diagonally. In an instant, heaven and earth were torn apart, and yin and yang were separated. It was originally a simple point, but in Qin Shujian's eyes, it was a divine sword that could destroy heaven and earth, and the power it carried was enough to shock people. This scene, it did not shock Qin Shujian. Instead, it made him even more excited.
because he realized,
when the Sword Emperor really attacked, the Sword Dao Law also became abnormally active. At that moment, Qin Shujian had a realization in his heart. But this realization was very weak, and it was not enough for the seed of the Sword Dao Law to be born in his inner world. However, he was not in a hurry. As long as he continued to fight, the possibility of comprehending the Sword Dao Law was very high. Boom! Qin Shujian fought the Sword Emperor with all his might with his bare hands. He did not use the God Slayer. He did not use any other means. He purely relied on the fundamental power of his physical body to fight against a true immortal at his peak. In the past, Qin Shujian did not use the power of the rules, and there was no way he could fight against a true immortal. But it was different now. The evolution of his inner world. It made his strength transform to a terrifying level. At this moment, there was no way for the Heaven List to record it, and Qin Shujian could not clearly see what level his combat strength had reached. However, there was one thing he was sure of. After the evolution of his inner world, his combat strength was at least 1,000,000, and as for how much more, he did not know.
Boom.
Boom. In the long river of rules, two terrifying figures were fighting. The Sword Emperor used his hand as a sword, as if he was holding a shocking divine weapon, and easily cut through the void with every move. However, the more they fought,
The more shocked he was.
In the home ground of rules here, the Sword Emperor found that he could not gain any advantage at all. No matter how fierce his attacks were, Qin Shujian could deal with them steadily. One thing was certain. The other party definitely did not use the power of the rules. Therefore, that was why the Sword Emperor was shocked. But soon, this shock turned into monstrous killing intent. In his opinion, Qin Shujian's purpose was to snatch the path. At this moment, the stronger the other party was, the greater the danger he was in. Once the other party succeeded in snatching the path, then falling to a true immortal would be a small matter, and he might even die on the spot. Qin Shujian, you force me to do this. The Sword Emperor's eyes were extremely cold. He suddenly clenched his hands in the void, and the vast power of the rules gathered crazily. A huge amount of rules gathered. The shadow of a long sword appeared, and it became more and more solid. The crazy and terrifying sword chi and sword intent raged wildly in the long river of rules.
Seeing this,
Qin Shujian's expression was both solemn and a little excited. This was it. This was the power. He had already felt that there was a seed being born in his inner world. That was the seed of the sword principle. At this moment, the seed was still a certain distance away from being completely nurtured. However, soon, Qin Shujian's heart palpitated slightly. Just as the long sword condensed in the long river of rules. The 4 continents. At this moment, all the sword-type divine weapons let out a pleasant sound.
then,
They bowed slightly in the direction of the South Continent's sword clan, as if they were worshipping an emperor.
such a change.
Naturally, it attracted the attention of many cultivators. Inside the 10,000 clan battlefield, Test Jianfeng stopped in his tracks. The long sword on his back vibrated slightly, letting out a pleasant sound, and vaguely showing signs of flying out of its sheath. Has a peerless divine weapon been born? A hint of doubt appeared on his calm face. But soon, the doubt disappeared. Test Jianfeng took off the long sword and stroked the scabbard with his palm. In an instant, the vibrating long sword immediately calmed down. Test Jianfeng closed his eyes slightly. Not long after, he opened his eyes again. Sword Principal Emperors. He had obtained the corresponding information from his spiritual sword. It was because of the birth of a Sword Principal Emperor. That was why it shocked all the weapons in the world. Sword Principal Emperor. Sword Emperor. Test Jianfeng's eyes lit up. He also walked the path of the sword, and a great battle intent rose in his heart for this legendary Sword Principal Emperor. However, Test Jianfeng also knew. With his current strength, he was not qualified to fight with such an existence. Let's wait a little longer. When I have the chance in the future, I will officially fight with you. Test Jianfeng already knew who was the one who triggered his divine weapon. Among the thousands of clans in the 4 major continents, only the Sword Sovereigns were worthy of being called Sword Sovereigns. That was a supreme existence who had recently attained the Tao and become an immortal. In comparison, he was only a cultivator at the 5th level of the divine martial realm. Even so, Test Jianfeng did not have the slightest intention of cowering. He was only at the 5th level of the divine martial realm and was not qualified to fight with the Sword Emperor. But when he was strong enough, he would definitely fight with the other party. Because the other party was the Sword Emperor. Although the Tao that Test Jianfeng walked was not necessarily the Tao that the Sword Emperor walked.
But
this did not stop him from wanting to fight with the Sword Emperor. He restrained his thoughts. Test Jianfeng put the long sword on his back again, then took a step forward and continued to walk forward. 5th level of the divine martial realm. There was no need to think so much. The current him. He needed more experts to sharpen the sword in his hand, until there was no way to advance. Naturally, it was time to swing his sword at the Sword Emperor. Inside the long river of laws, the long sword in the Sword Emperor's hand had already condensed. It was formed by the convergence of the Sword Tao law. It was a jade-like long sword. On the pure white sword body, there was Tao rune engraving. Just the sword chi that overflowed was enough to make a true immortal's expression change. In terms of strength, the Sword Emperor was also an extremely powerful existence among the true immortals.
Slash.
The cold voice echoed in the long river of laws. In the next second, the long sword slashed down. It was supposed to be a 3-foot-long sword, but at this moment, it had already occupied the entire long river of laws. Qin Shu Jian did not move at all, because there was no need. The moment the long sword slashed out, he had already been locked onto by the sword intent. No matter where he retreated, there was no possibility of escaping. However, Qin Shu Jian had no intention of dodging. The moment the long sword slashed down, his heart throbbed. In his inner world, the mother river of laws trembled, and a new tributary was about to be born. That was the Sword Dao Law Seed. Crack! The void shattered and disappeared like a mirror. The long river of laws also trembled crazily. The moment the long sword fell, it had already slashed onto Qin Shu Jian's body. That terrifying power was unleashed. It directly drowned everything. There were even waves that were tens of thousands of feet high, presenting a doomsday-like scene. Is he dead? The Sword Emperor gasped for breath, and there was a look of surprise and uncertainty in his eyes. That sword just now. He clearly saw that it had slashed onto Qin Shu Jian's body. That Qin Emperor. From the beginning to the end, he did not make a move to stop it, as if he was willing to die. The Sword Emperor had doubts in his heart, but he also felt a sense of pleasure. He was basically sure. The possibility of Qin Shu Jian surviving this sword was not high. All of a sudden, the expression on the Sword Emperor's face became stiff. The waves fell. Qin Shu Jian retreated tens of thousands of miles, and his eyes had already closed at some point. His original physical body had now collapsed, and there was a sword wound on his chest. One could vaguely see his beating heart.
Such an injury.
It looked serious, but in fact, it was insignificant. His flesh and blood were regenerating. The collapsed physical body and the sword wound on his body were recovering bit by bit. A few breaths later, everything returned to its original state. Impossible! The Sword Emperor's face changed drastically. No one knew better than him what kind of power his sword had just now. In the 4 continents, there was absolutely no true immortal who could forcibly receive this sword without putting up any defenses. This was the Sword Emperor's confidence. It was also the confidence of a true immortal expert. However, the scene in front of him made the Sword Emperor's heart tremble. Any confidence. It was shattered by everything that happened in front of him. Qin Shu Jian opened his eyes, and a ray of divine light flashed. Then, he looked at the Sword Emperor, who was a little depressed, and a smile appeared on his face. The Sword Emperor's strength is indeed omnipotent. Ben Huang has experienced it this time. If there is a chance in the future, Ben Huang will definitely experience it again.
Goodbye.
After that, he had already taken out the Godslayer, cut open the long river of rules, and then disappeared. Omnipotent. I'll experience it again in the future. Qin Shu Jian's words were still echoing in the Sword Emperor's mind. After a long time, the Sword Emperor came to his senses and looked in the direction Qin Shu Jian left. There was anger in his eyes. Qin Shu Jian, how dare you humiliate me? Humiliation. An undisguised humiliation. From the Sword Emperor's point of view, Qin Shu Jian was clearly humiliating him. Moreover, Qin Shu Jian was trampling on his face and ruthlessly rubbing it under his feet. Originally, the Sword Emperor thought that Qin Shu Jian's goal was to snatch the Dao. But now it seemed, the other party's goal was not to snatch the Dao at all, but purely to humiliate him. Otherwise, with Qin Shu Jian's strength, he could completely defeat him and then snatch the Dao of sword rules. Standing in the same place, the Sword Emperor's chest rose and fell violently. Even if it was a normal defeat, he would not be angry at all. His strength was inferior. There was nothing worth saying. But the scene just now was not as simple as a defeat. Human clan Qin Shu Jian, good, very good. Our grudge is set. The Sword Emperor gritted his teeth, the killing intent in his heart almost bursting out of his chest. Immediately after, he also turned and left the long river of rules. Sword Clan's secret realm. When the Sword Emperor had just returned to the main hall, there were already many Sword Clan elders there. Seeing his appearance, immediately, an elder cupped his hands and said, "May I ask, my emperor, was there a strong enemy invasion just now?"
No.
The Sword Emperor replied coldly. Hearing this, that elder's face was filled with doubt, but just now, a powerful sword intent was emitted, causing all the swords in the Sword Clan to bow. If it wasn't the Emperor's method, no one in the world could do it. Ben Huang just entered the rules to comprehend the Tao of Sword. It caused some commotion. Don't pay too much attention to it. The cold light in the Sword Emperor's eyes was hidden. He couldn't help but think of the long river of rules. Subsequently, the Sword Emperor said, "Pass down Ben Huang's order. In the 10,000 clan battlefield, our clan will immediately attack the human clan. No mistakes. Attack the human clan." The expressions of several Sword Clan elders changed. Reporting to my emperor, the human clan's strength is not weak now. There are also many Saint Realm cultivators, and there are also many human clan alliance troops. If we attack the human clan, I'm afraid our clan will suffer a great loss. We suggest that we discuss this matter before making any plans. Inside the 10,000 clan battlefield, the human clan was a veritable overlord. Although the Sword Clan was now a big clan.
In fact,
excluding the Sword Emperor, it was only the strength of a small clan. Because the Sword Emperor had just become an immortal, the overall strength of the Sword Clan could not keep up. Naturally, there was no way for them to be comparable to a big clan, let alone an overlord like the human clan. The Sword Emperor's expression was indifferent. The human clan is strong, but they are also surrounded by enemies. Didn't the human clan attack the Blood Eldar not long ago? Help Ben Huang send a message that the Sword Clan intends to form an alliance with the Blood Eldar. This time, the Sword Clan will definitely do our best to attack the human clan. I think the Blood Eldar will not refuse this opportunity. In the Sword Emperor's opinion, attacking the human clan was definitely not an easy task.
however,
If he did not attack the human clan, it would not be enough to vent the anger in his heart. In the long river of laws, he was humiliated by Qin Shujian. No matter what, he had to get back at him. But in terms of strength, the Sword Emperor knew the gap between him and Qin Shujian.
so,
The possibility of taking revenge directly was not high. In this way, he could only start from the 10,000 clan battlefield. If he could not kill Qin Shujian, then he would kill a few more humans. Anyway, it would be enough to vent this anger. Others. The Sword Emperor did not want to care too much about it now. Seeing his determination, the Sword Clan elders did not dare to have any objections. Immediately, the Sword Emperor's order was spread out. Inside the 10,000 clan battlefield, in the territory that belonged to the Sword Clan, the Peak Saint Realm expert guarding this place immediately took action after receiving the Sword Emperor's order. Men, Lord, what are your orders? A heavenly being came in from outside. Pass down my order. Go to the Blood Eldar and tell them that our clan intends to form an alliance with them to deal with the human clan. The Saint Realm cultivator said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the heavenly being bowed and left. After he left, the Saint Realm cultivator's eyes revealed a cold light. Attack the human clan. Our Sword Clan has been silent for a long time. It's time to show our edge. As a divine weapon, it gave birth to intelligence. The Sword Clan was a warlike clan. Although the Sword Clan's current strength was very far from the human clan's, this matter was not within the scope of his consideration, because the order was given by the Sword Emperor. As the commander of the Sword Clan in the 10,000 clan battlefield, he only needed to listen to the Sword Emperor's orders. Others. Then it had nothing to do with him. On the other side, after retreating from the long river of laws, Qin Shujian directly tore through the void and returned to the Qian Yuan realm. The moment he returned to the courtyard, he immersed his mind and then entered the inner world. At this moment, the inner world's laws, the mother stream, manifested. And in the mother stream, there were 5 tributaries flowing quietly. 4 of the tributaries were about 10 feet wide and 30 to 40 feet long. As for the other tributary, it was only 3 feet wide. It was only about 7 feet long. Compared to the other 4 laws, it was more than twice as weak.
To this,
Qin Shujian revealed a smile on his face. Sword Dao Law. At this point, the inner world was considered to have the existence of the 5th law. P.S. Requesting monthly votes. Chapter 709. After the birth of the 5th rule, his inner world shook slightly. The original range of 1,000,000 miles expanded again. The shaking soon disappeared. As the ruler of the inner world, Qin Shujian received the news immediately. 1 million. It has increased by about 100,000 miles. The Sword Dao rule was only at the seed stage and had not really taken root yet. To be able to increase the inner world by 100,000 miles, it was already not bad. If it could become stronger in the future, the inner world would naturally become stronger. However, it was not an easy task to make the rules stronger. There were only 2 paths in front of Qin Shujian. The first was to give birth to living beings in the inner world and then comprehend the rules of heaven and earth. Then, like the great wide world, he would develop and strengthen the rules bit by bit and grow together with it. The great wide world had taken the first path. As for the second path, it was to find enough nourishment to nurture the rules of the inner world. The problem was only the rules could nurture the rules. In other words, the best way was to directly move the rules of the great wide world over. However, the great wide world would not allow him to move the rules over. There was a greater possibility. If the inner world did not move the rules of the great wide world, Qin Shujian would be killed by the thunder tribulation of the rules immediately. Apart from that, in fact, there was a third path. That was, Qin Shujian would personally expand and expand each and every one of the rules. However, this difficulty, it was even more unreliable than the previous 2 methods. Standing in the inner world, Qin Shujian was already thinking about something. The best way to move the rules should be to plunder the rule monument and then use it to remove the rules. However, it was not an easy task to do so. As for the birth of living beings in the inner world, it is even more troublesome. If he wanted to evolve living beings naturally, the rules had to be perfected. As for the extent of perfection, Qin Shujian was not too sure himself. Because in the memory of the 3rd era, the path he took in his previous life was not the path of evolving heaven and earth, but the path of carrying the rules with his physical body like Shao Qingfeng. Therefore, when he was taking a new path, Qin Shujian himself was also confused. However, based on the memories of the 3rd era, after pondering over the matter, he came up with some ideas. The evolution of the living beings of heaven and earth is nothing more than the 5 elements of yin and yang. As long as these things are gathered, there will be a chance to evolve into living beings. With these thoughts in mind, Qin Shujian did not dare to be too certain. However, but he could give it a try. The 5 elemental laws were easy to find because the 5 elemental Eldar represented the 5 elemental laws of heaven and earth. As for the yin and yang laws, Qin Shujian thought of the Sea of Death and Heaven Abyss. If he didn't guess wrong, the half-step Dao fruits in those 2 places walk the path of yin and yang. If that's the case, I'm afraid it'll be troublesome to obtain the seed of the yin-yang law. Qin Shujian's face was solemn. Half-step Dao fruit. Reaching this realm was already like taking a step forward. An ordinary 9th heaven immortal. In front of such an expert, there was no possibility of resisting. It had to be said that the Emperor of Heaven and the Emperors of the ancient times were lucky to be able to return from the Sea of Death alive. Or rather, at that time, the Emperor of Heaven was already extremely powerful. Although he didn't reach the half-step Dao fruit level, he was close. Otherwise, it was hard to explain how they could safely retreat from the Sea of Death with only minor injuries. His thoughts were a little chaotic. Qin Shujian quickly extinguished this thought and focused his attention on his inner world again. The strength of his inner world. It was related to his strength. All of a sudden, Qin Shujian felt like he was playing a nurturing game in his previous life.
Strictly speaking,
The memories of the Third Era were not prepared for his previous life because after the fall of the Third Era, he had been reincarnated several times.
until this life.
Only then did he truly awaken his innate wisdom. In other words, not only did Qin Shujian have the memories of the Third Era, but he also had the memories of the other eras. The feeling he had now, it was from his previous life. Starting with an inner world and nurturing it all depends on myself.
Sigh, this is a troublesome thing.
Qin Shujian shook his head. For other cultivators, they were already satisfied with having such strength. But in his opinion, he had just entered a new starting point. Everything before was just to pave the way for this new starting point. The starting point was already open. How to proceed from here on out would depend on himself. My strength will only be as strong as the inner world. There are two ways to strengthen the inner world. The first is to perfect the rules, and the second is to expand the size of the inner world. There are also two ways to expand the size of the inner world. The first is to perfect the rules and drive the expansion of the inner world. The second is to provide sufficient spiritual energy and let the inner world slowly expand. Qin Shujian analyzed. The perfection of the rules was the strength of the inner world. As for using spiritual energy to expand the inner world, it was like a bubble that would burst with a poke. But one had to know, anything that reached a certain amount could cause a qualitative change. Even if the inner world was an empty shell, if it could be as vast and boundless as the upper world and had sufficient spiritual energy, Qin Shujian's strength could also become terrifying. However, there was a limit to such strength. It was almost impossible to break through to the Dao fruit level. Therefore, it was necessary to fill the rules of the inner world. But before that, he could try to expand the inner world. At this moment, after the inner world was opened, the original 129,600 star acupoints had all been shattered. This surging energy, other than the evolution of the inner world, the rest was the evolution of the inner world into mountains and rivers. The rich energy, the evolution of the inner world was extremely powerful. Although it was only 1,000,000 miles wide, there were many heavenly treasures contained in it. This was equivalent to a third heaven immortal smashing his head into the ground and dying here. Then, he would use the energy contained in his body to create blessings. Not to mention perfected immortals. Even a drop of blood essence of a 10th level heaven being could be divided into many treasures. Not to mention that the power of a 3rd level immortal was all poured here. From this, it could be seen how many treasures existed in the inner world. However, Qin Shujian had no intention of using it. The inner world is the evolution of my physical body.
Everything in it is a part of me.
If I want to dig out treasures from here, it will always be a little uncomfortable. He ate himself. Qin Shujian was not very used to it. Apart from that, he found that there were also spirit meridians condensing and taking shape in the inner world. According to his guess, there should be mountains and rivers that devoured a large amount of his energy, and that energy was filled with surging spiritual energy. In the end, these spiritual energy piled up and gradually evolved into spirit meridians. After a long time, Qin Shujian retreated from the inner world. With a thought. Basically, he already knew how long he had been in there. The river of time in the inner world is not complete. Unlike the mother stream, the river of time records the beginning of the world. Such supreme treasures will naturally be born. But the process will take some time. Right now, I have to think of a way to make the spiritual energy of the inner world richer. The best way is to bury spirit stones or spirit meridians in it to increase the spiritual energy of the world. Qin Shujian's mind turned slightly. Placing spirit stones was not reliable. It was true that spirit stones could produce spiritual energy, but the spiritual energy in spirit stones was not very sufficient. It was fine to enrich the spiritual energy of a city or a sect, but it was much worse to fill the inner world with spiritual energy. The most direct way was to move the spirit meridians in. Qin Shujian fell into deep thought. The spirit meridians in the eastern continent must not be moved. Now that the spirit meridians in the eastern continent have reached a balance, if they are moved wantonly, it will destroy the layout. This is the root of the human race. Unless it is a last resort, it must not be moved. The spirit meridians in the Qian Yuan realm must not be moved at the moment. After all, as the foundation of the Qian Yuan sacred ground, the spirit meridians in the Qian Yuan realm must be protected to a certain extent. Moreover, the demons in the void are attacking various small worlds. In this way, the Qian Yuan realm also needs sufficient spirit meridians to strengthen itself. In Qin Shujian's opinion, the spirit meridians in his hands could not be moved. In other words, if he wanted to get the spirit meridians, he had to start from other places. At present, all the places with spirit meridians have been occupied by various clans. If I want to extract the spirit meridians, I have to start from the various clans. Qin Shujian had just thought of this. But soon he remembered something else. No, the spirit meridians in the Sea of Death are also very abundant. In this case, there should be a lot of spirit meridians in the Sea of Death. After all, the Sea of Death has existed for countless years, and a large number of fierce beasts absorb and exhale spirit meridians. If he really wanted to nurture a spirit vein, it wouldn't be a difficult task. More importantly, no one dares to approach the Sea of Death. Even if there are spirit meridians in the Sea of Death, other cultivators have no chance of seizing them. As for the fierce beasts, they do not have spiritual intelligence and do not know how to dig spirit meridians. But the thing in the depths of the Sea of Death is a problem. I have to think about this matter carefully. There were spirit meridians in the Sea of Death. But if he went to the Sea of Death to extract the spirit meridians, he might cause trouble. If he had the strength of the Third Era, Qin Shujian was naturally not afraid. But now he thought that it was better to be safe. Impulse was the devil. If he died before he succeeded, he would really be a laughing stock. Which race should I start from? Qin Shujian's fingers subconsciously tapped on the stone table, and a faint fragrance wafted out from the teacup on the table. Find a race to attack. This was not an easy task. Now that the myriad races battlefield was established, the human race had to attack a race in order to plunder their territory. Moreover, in the past, when they occupied the territory, they had to prevent the race from taking away the things in the territory. After an unknown period of time, the heaven board shook slightly. Qin Shujian took out the heaven board from his sea of consciousness, then held the communication token inside and read the information inside. The various races have joined forces to attack the human race's territory, and the originally neutral sword race has also interfered? Sword race. After hearing this name, Qin Shujian was stunned for a moment before he understood the reason why the sword race had made a move. Without a doubt, it must be because the Sword Emperor was in a bad mood after being tortured by him in the Long River of Laws, so he ordered the sword race to attack the human race. Immediately after. Thus, he had decided on his next target. Since the sword race has made a move, then let's start from the sword race. Although the sword race is small, there must be a spirit vein in their territory. This is also a way to get the spirit vein. Qin Shujian quickly determined his target. However, there was also a problem. That was that the allied forces of the various races were aggressive. With the current strength of the human race and the willingness of the various races, it was at most a 50-50 situation. Not to mention the possibility of the human race winning. Even if they really won, they did not have the strength to attack the sword race. Because the sword race was now on the side of the Blood Eldar. If they simply attacked the sword race, the Blood Eldar and the other races in the same camp would definitely not sit back and do nothing. In this way, the human race had to increase their strength. But in the 4 continents, all the forces that could ally with the human race had been pulled over. The remaining myriad races, they were either hostile or neutral, and even if they were neutral races, they did not want the human race to become stronger, so there was a high chance that they would not interfere. In that case, who else can be roped in? One race after another flashed through Qin Shujian's mind.
Soon,
a smile appeared on his face. I said, I should be in front of Si Hanhai. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Shu Jian had already disappeared on the spot. In the range of Heavenly Abyss, they originally thought that the existence under Heavenly Abyss had awakened and let out a furious roar to disperse the black fog within 1,000,000 miles of Heavenly Abyss. The living beings within Heavenly Abyss, either all of them died, or all of them fled. Even the cultivators of the various races who were waiting outside Heavenly Abyss seemed to be scared out of their wits and did not dare to approach. As the existence under Heavenly Abyss fell asleep again, the fog that had been dispersed gradually covered the land within 1,000,000 miles of Heavenly Abyss. Because the existence under Heavenly Abyss had awakened, it was because many demons had escaped from Heavenly Abyss. Right now, many races in the northern continent were searching for traces of the demons. However, what these races did not know was, long ago, when the existence under Heavenly Abyss was asleep, Si Han Hai had led the demons back here quietly, because the most dangerous place was also the safest place. With the current strength of the demons, if they floated outside, there was no possibility of survival. They could only rely on the protection of Heavenly Abyss. Only then would they have a chance to breathe. Even if the existence under Heavenly Abyss might awaken again and cause the destruction of all the demons, Si Han Hai still did so. After all, one would die without a doubt. One still had a glimmer of hope. As long as it was a normal person, they would know what to choose. The original demon territory was still covered by blood clouds. Si Han Hai sat upright in the blood lotus. In front of him was the half-refined dragon body. At this time, his aura had become erratic, as if some kind of transformation would occur at any time. All of a sudden, a calm voice woke Si Han Hai up directly. Sure enough, the most dangerous place is the safest. You are really brave.
Who?
Si Han Hai abruptly opened his eyes. His scarlet eyes were filled with a tyrannical look. At the same time, the blood cloud was also shaking violently. A terrifying killing intent loomed from it. Looking at Si Han Hai, who was making a big commotion in front of him, Qin Shu Jian stood in the blood cloud with his hands behind his back. Although his face remained calm, he was somewhat surprised. He did not expect. After the demons escaped from Heavenly Abyss, they still had the courage to come back. After all, the existence under the demon abyss had awakened twice in a short time. No one could be sure. Would the existence under the demon abyss wake up a third or fourth time? In this case, the other party dared to fight to the death. It was indeed unexpected. On the other side, Si Han Hai also reacted at this time. The scarlet in his eyes faded a little, and then there was a flash of fear. However, he still sat cross-legged on the blood lotus, without any intention of getting up. Ben Huang was also very surprised that the Qin Emperor suddenly visited the demons. I wonder what is the purpose of the Qin Emperor's uninvited visit this time? After saying that, Si Han Hai's gaze also fell on Qin Shu Jian and did not move away for half a moment. His face, at this time, had regained its calmness, because this was the territory of the demons. In the blood cloud, it was also a kind of restriction that he had set up himself. Qin Shu Jian was able to appear in front of Si Han Hai without alerting him. This kind of strength had already exceeded Si Han Hai's expectations. In other words, if the other party wanted to kill him, it would definitely not take much effort. After thinking through this matter, Si Han Hai was relieved. Since there was no possibility of resistance, then he would lay out everything. Moreover, he also believed that after he established the demons, he had not had any conflicts with anyone, and his hands were not stained with the blood of any human practitioners. Si Han Hai understood Qin Shu Jian's character. As long as he was not his enemy, the other party would not attack him for no reason. Hearing that, Qin Shu Jian said lightly, Brother Han Hai, you can rest assured that the humans and the demons have nothing to do with each other. Ben Huang did not come here to make trouble for the demons. In any case, the demons have never been enemies with the humans. And Brother Han Hai has fought for the humans before. No matter how cruel Ben Huang is, he will not attack people who have made contributions. Ben Huang naturally believes the words of the Qin Emperor. Si Hanhai smiled. He was waiting for the other party to get to the point. Qin Shujian said, Ben Huang came here this time for only one purpose, which is to borrow some saint cultivators from the demons to enter the 10,000 clan battlefield to help the Qianyuan sacred ground. Borrow saint cultivators? Si Hanhai's face froze. Just now, he had already guessed the purpose of Qin Shujian's arrival, but he had never thought that this would be the other party's purpose. After all, for a master at the level of Qin Shujian, a saint cultivator was no different from an ant. Not to mention the other party. Even Si Hanhai himself didn't think much of a saint cultivator. Thinking about it was just thinking. Si Hanhai shook his head and sighed. I'm afraid the Qin Emperor has come at a bad time. Some time ago, the existence in the depths of Tianyuan woke up, causing the death of all the powerful practitioners of the demons. At this moment, except for a few powerful practitioners of the demons, there are no other clansmen left. Speaking of this matter, Si Hanhai was also a little frustrated. He had accumulated the power of the demons for so long, but in the end, 99% of them were killed by the existence in Tianyuan. Seeing this, Qin Shujian also frowned slightly. Si Hanhai's answer was also a little unexpected. Immediately, his divine consciousness spread out. Without any obstruction, his divine consciousness covered the entire territory of the demons. Sure enough, Qin Shujian only released the aura of a few powerful practitioners in the territory. Except for them, there was no other aura of the demons. Si Hanhai, who was sitting cross-legged on the blood lotus, also saw the change in Qin Shujian's expression. Seeing this, he also understood in his heart. Then he continued, Ben Huang was originally from the human clan, so naturally, I should not refuse. However, the demon's current strength is difficult to sustain. I'm afraid Ben Huang can't help you. Qin Shujian did not reply. He was thinking about countermeasures. After a while, Qin Shujian recovered from his contemplation, looked at Si Hanhai and said with a faint smile, since Brother Hanhai has this idea, Ben Huang naturally will not give you this opportunity. Later, Ben Huang will give you all the cultivators of the ancient Buddha clan. What you have to do is to turn all the ancient Buddha clan's Saint Realm cultivators into demons. In addition, you can't touch the spirit veins and small worlds of the ancient Buddha clan.
Qin Shujian knows where the ancient Buddha clan is.
Si Hanhai's expression changed slightly. The ancient Buddha clan. He had coveted this clan for a long time, because the power of the ancient Buddha clan was opposite to the power of the demons. For such an opposing clan, Si Hanhai naturally hoped to eliminate all of them. In this way, there would be one less threat to the demons. However, since the fall of the ancient Buddha Emperor, the remaining experts of the ancient Buddha clan had sealed the secret realm and directly escaped without a trace. In addition, there were racial restrictions in the northern continent. Si Hanhai had no way to search for the whereabouts of the ancient Buddha clan.
Soon,
he recalled what Qin Shujian had said just now and immediately realized the difference. Give him the cultivators of the ancient Buddha clan? Si Hanhai's expression changed again. Has Qin Shujian already captured all the cultivators of the ancient Buddha clan? This Qin Shujian's action. Isn't it too fast?
To this,
Qin Shujian shook his head slightly, and in the next moment, he left the range of the blood cloud. You come with Ben Huang. Looking at the disappearing person, Si Hanhai didn't think much, and immediately left the blood cloud. Below the blood cloud, in the territory of the demons, Qin Shujian stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. Not long after, Si Hanhai stood in front of him. On the other side, at this moment, the almighty cultivators in the territory of the demons had also noticed Si Hanhai's aura. Instantly, 6 figures flew over and then landed in front of Si Hanhai. Greetings to my emperor. The 6 almighty demons bowed. When they straightened up, they discovered Qin Shujian's existence. It didn't matter if they didn't see him. They were shocked when they saw him. Qin Shujian. The 6 almighty demons were originally elders of other clans, but after being assimilated by Si Hanhai, they became members of the demons.
So, how could they not know Qin Shujian?
Because they knew him. Now that they suddenly saw Qin Shujian's existence, they were shocked. Qin Shujian said, "Brother Hanhai, get ready. Once the secret realm of the ancient Buddha clan appears, immediately take action and assimilate them." Ben Huang doesn't care about the other cultivators, but the heavenly beings and Saint Realm cultivators must be alive. Originally, he only wanted the Saint Realm cultivators.
But now,
Qin Shujian planned to capture all the transcendent heavenly beings and saint heavenly beings of the ancient Buddha clan. Okay. Although Si Hanhai was confused, he still nodded, and then looked at the other almighty demons. When the cultivators of the ancient Buddha clan appear, you must assimilate all the heavenly beings and Saint Realm cultivators. Don't kill them easily. We'll follow my emperor's order. The almighty demons were also confused, but they still respectfully accepted the order. In the demon territory, the first demon emperor, Si Hanhai, was God. His orders could not be disobeyed by any demon. Seeing this, Qin Shujian's face became serious, and then he said in a deep voice, "I said, the secret realm of the ancient Buddha clan has appeared in front of me." After saying this, the great thousand world shook. The inner world in his physical body also shook. A mysterious fluctuation spread out.
then,
The void trembled violently. The next moment, a secret realm with an open entrance had appeared in the sky above the demon territory. Si Hanhai and the other demon clan mighty figures were shocked. They didn't know what to say as they looked at the secret realm that had appeared. As for the entrance of the secret realm, the cultivators of the ancient Buddha clan were also stunned. Obviously, they didn't know what was going on. However, when the cultivators of the ancient Buddha clan saw Si Hanhai, their stunned faces suddenly disappeared, and they were shocked. The blood demon is here. Quick, go and inform my emperor that the blood demon is attacking. Close the entrance of the secret realm. Quickly close the entrance. The ancient Buddha clan went crazy. No one from the ancient Buddha clan would forget Si Hanhai. The ancient Buddha clan had been running rampant in the North Continent for many years. There were very few people who could really make them suffer. The blood demon Si Hanhai. He was one of them. Therefore, after seeing Si Hanhai's identity, the ancient Buddha clan immediately sounded the alarm. They only saw the entrance of the secret realm suddenly close. Although the demons of the void were attacking the small world now, if the entrance was closed, it might lead to the destruction of the secret realm. However, if they didn't close the entrance of the secret realm, they would definitely die. Closing the entrance of the secret realm would give them a chance to live. Although the ancient Buddha clan was a race of stone people who had developed spiritual wisdom and flesh incarnations, their brains couldn't really be stone. However, the entrance of the secret realm had just closed. Qin Shujian casually raised his hand, then slashed diagonally in the void. It was a simple point, like a peerless divine sword. It easily tore the void and also the closed entrance of the ancient Buddha secret realm. This was the sword principle rules. However, it didn't rely on the sword principle rules of the great wide world, but the sword principle rules of the inner world.
soon,
Si Hanhai and several demon clan almighties rushed into the ancient Buddha secret realm. On the other side, the ancient Buddha secret realm. In a large hall, there was a stone person sitting on the throne that originally belonged to the ancient Buddha emperor. This was the current ancient Buddha emperor. However, the ancient Buddha emperor's face had become extremely ugly. Why would the blood demon attack? Now that the demon clan is wanted by all clans, how would the blood demon dare to attack without permission? Honggu couldn't figure it out. How did Si Hanhai have the guts to attack the ancient Buddha clan? Until now, he didn't know that the secret realm of the ancient Buddha clan was no longer in the original place, but in the territory of the demon clan. At this moment, in the ancient Buddha hall, the other elders of the ancient Buddha clan were also shocked. My emperor, what should we do now? The blood demon came suddenly. Let's temporarily seal the ancient Buddhist secret realm and talk about it later. Honggu quickly made a decision. With a thought, the ancient Buddhist secret realm was directly closed. However, as soon as the ancient Buddhist secret realm was closed, Honggu sensed that there was an extremely strong force that forcibly tore the sealed entrance of the ancient Buddhist secret realm. Almost at the same time, the aura of the demon clan had already rushed into the ancient Buddhist secret realm. One after another, unforeseen events. Honggu could no longer remain calm. The blood demon has torn the secret realm and invaded. All ancient Buddha clan members follow Ben Huang to face the enemy.
Hearing this,
The faces of the elders of the ancient Buddha clan changed again. They didn't have time to think about why the entrance of the ancient Buddha's secret realm was torn open. However, Honggu's words had already made it clear. The ancient Buddha clan no longer had a way out. Inside the ancient Buddha's secret realm, blood clouds covered the world. Shocking killing aura filled the entire ancient Buddha's secret realm. According to Qin Shujian's request, Si Hanhai and the other demon clan experts captured the transcendents and saint celestials of the ancient Buddha clan and threw them into the blood clouds to assimilate them with the power of the demon clan. As for the other ancient Buddha clan members, they were much more casual. If they wanted to kill them, they would kill them. If they didn't want to kill them, they would throw them into the blood clouds for assimilation. At the same time, nearly 10 tyrannical auras broke through the air. It made Si Hanhai stop what he was doing for a moment. How dare the blood demons start a massacre in my ancient Buddha clan? Ben Huang will make you pay with your blood. Honggu shouted loudly, his eyes fixed on Si Hanhai. You're the current ancient Buddha emperor. Si Hanhai's eyes also fell on Honggu. Subsequently, he shook his head, a disdainful smile on his face. It seems that the ancient Buddha clan has really declined. A cultivator in the 9th stage of the celestial being realm can take the position of ancient Buddha emperor. Instead of declining like this, it's better to surrender to my demon clan. Presumptuous! Honggu shouted angrily. He had a rough understanding of Si Hanhai's strength. It should be similar to his. There shouldn't be a big difference. Because when the other party attacked the ancient Buddha clan's territory many times in the past, he ran away when he encountered the ancient Buddha emperor. With such strength, no matter how strong he was, there was a limit. He knew it in his heart. Honggu was too lazy to talk nonsense. He directly attacked, suppressing Si Hanhai. Boundless Buddha light erupted. When he pressed out his palm, a solid swastika symbol emerged from his palm, dispersing the surrounding killing aura. Si Hanhai shook his head slightly, then pressed out his palm. The blood clouds exploded. He forcefully destroyed the swastika symbol.
Then
He pressed out with his finger again. The blood-red finger shattered the void, which made Honggu's face change drastically. A golden lotus bloomed under his feet. Dense Buddha light gathered, trying to block the finger attack. However, although the Buddha light was strong, it melted and retreated in front of the blood-red finger attack.
boom.
Honggu's body was hit hard. In an instant, the stone man's body cracked, and he coughed up blood. Although the injuries on his body were serious, however, his heart was filled with even more shock. Si Hanhai's strength. Compared to the past, it couldn't be compared at all. Your strength is much weaker than the previous ancient Buddha emperor. Si Hanhai didn't have the mind of a cat playing with a mouse. He took a step forward, and a blood lotus bloomed, directly swallowing Honggu.
Then
The blood lotus shook, as if something was struggling inside. However, as time went by, the blood lotus's shaking became smaller and smaller. In the end, it calmed down completely. Seeing this, Si Hanhai scattered the blood lotus. Honggu closed his eyes, standing still. However, the dense Buddha light on his body had completely disappeared. In the next instant, his tightly shut eyes opened, and a scarlet color appeared from within.
Then
Honggu walked to Si Hanhai and bowed. Greetings, my emperor. Good. Go and convert the other members of the ancient Buddha clan into members of my demon clan. Si Hanhai revealed a carefree smile. If the current ancient Buddha emperor succeeded, the remaining members of the ancient Buddha clan couldn't stop him. Honggu accepted the order. A moment later, he attacked the other experts of the ancient Buddha clan. In the demon clan's territory, Qin Shujian stood there, silently watching everything that happened in the ancient Buddha clan. He didn't go in, nor did he have any intention of interfering. In any era, the demon clan is one of the best. Si Hanhai can establish the demon clan in this era. If he doesn't fall, I'm afraid he has a chance to break through to the Dao fruit realm. Qin Shujian's eyes moved slightly. He was very clear about the demon clan's methods. One of the most powerful methods was assimilation. After being assimilated by the demon clan, the cultivator's body wouldn't change, but his mind would unknowingly become closer to the demon clan. Everything was so natural. Therefore, in the third era, the demon clan was also hated by everyone. After all, such methods were really unreasonable. As for Si Hanhai, in Qin Shujian's view, he also had a lot of potential. After obtaining the memory of the third era, there weren't many cultivators who could enter his eyes. Those who could be considered as having potential in the future, they would have a chance to break through to the Dao fruit realm. In fact, Si Hanhai wasn't the only one with potential. The founder of any race had a chance to break through to the Dao fruit realm. However, it was only a possibility. Whether there was a chance to break through to the Dao fruit realm in the end depended on luck. Just like the ancient demon emperor, who founded the demon clan and was half a step into the Dao fruit realm, he failed in the end. Therefore, Qin Shujian wasn't sure whether Si Hanhai could break through to the Dao fruit realm in the end. Just as he was pondering in his heart, the battle of the ancient Buddha clan gradually subsided. After the fall of the previous ancient Buddha emperor, the strength of the ancient Buddha clan weakened a lot. The strongest was only a 9th-level heaven human like Honggu. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to become the ancient Buddha emperor. On the contrary, the demon clan had 6 almighty figures and Si Hanhai, who had reached the half-immortal level. That's right. In Qin Shujian's view, Si Hanhai had already reached the half-immortal level. With such strength, the ancient Buddha clan had no chance of contending against the demon clan. In addition to the assimilation method of the demon clan, as long as they had the upper hand, the longer they delayed, the bigger the advantage would snowball. In the end, they could directly clinch victory. The battle of the ancient Buddha clan subsided. With Si Hanhai as the leader, the original demon clan experts and the newly assimilated demon clansmen all flew out of the ancient Buddha secret realm. When they saw Qin Shujian, a smile appeared on Si Hanhai's face. I've kept you waiting for a long time. P.S. Support the original version, Qidian Chinese Network, app, Qidian Book. I'm really decent. Chapter 710. With Qin Shujian's strength, it was easy for him to destroy the ancient Buddha clan. But it was easy to kill the ancient Buddha clan. However, wanting to subdue the ancient Buddha clan was not an easy matter. From beginning to end, the most difficult thing to control was the human heart. So, only after the demon clan assimilated the ancient Buddha clan could Qin Shujian borrow the original ancient Buddha clan cultivators to enter the battlefield to help. Si Hanhai said, the demon clan has 6 celestial beings at the 4th level, 5 celestial beings at the 5th level, and 3 celestial beings at the 6th level. They are all Saint Realm cultivators. Enough. Qin Shujian smiled slightly. 14 Saint Realm cultivators, 3 of whom were at the peak of the Saint Realm. Such strength was enough to sweep many small clans in the battlefield. For this, he could not help but sigh. The foundation of the top clans was indeed strong. Even if the death of the previous ancient Buddha emperor and the disappearance of many sealed true immortals forced the ancient Buddha clan to abandon everything and completely retreat behind the scenes from a top clan on the surface. However, the strength of the ancient Buddha clan was still amazing. Si Hanhai said with a smile, this time, the demon clan is strong because of your help. But Ben Huang also has one thing that I would like to ask for your help. I wonder if you're willing? What is it? Qin Shujian frowned slightly. He was also a little unhappy that Si Hanhai wanted to ask for other things. After all, the demon clan had borrowed many Saint Realm cultivators for the human clan. But one thing to know was, he also helped the demon clan to subdue the entire ancient Buddha clan. In comparison, the demon clan had made a big profit by borrowing some Saint Realm cultivators. In this way, Si Hanhai was still not satisfied. It was inevitable that he would make Qin Shu Jian unhappy. Don't misunderstand, Ben Huang. This is a sincere request. If you have any request, you can ask for it. It is another deal. Si Hanhai knew how to read people's expressions. When he saw Qin Shu Jian, he knew that the other party was unhappy.
So,
in order to avoid misunderstanding, he hurriedly explained. Standing in front of Qin Shu Jian, Si Hanhai didn't maintain any of the arrogance that a demon emperor should have. After all, arrogance was not only a matter of status, but also a matter of strength. He was not strong enough. Everything was fake. Qin Shujian's countenance was calm as he lightly said, Brother Hanhai, you might as well speak frankly. Ben Huang has a premonition that he will be able to break through the true immortal realm in a short period of time. However, the Qin Emperor also knows that the Devil Clan is not very popular in the four continents. If Ben Huang were to achieve Dao, there would be true immortals who would stop him. Therefore, Ben Huang hopes that the human race can help. Si Hanhai said. He paused for a moment. Then he continued, if Ben Huang succeeds in proving his Dao, the devil race is willing to form an eternal alliance with the human race. As long as the Qin Emperor has any orders, the devil race will definitely not refuse. After saying this, Si Hanhai bowed deeply. With his current strength, he had already reached the half-immortal realm. The energy contained within Buckle's dragon body was far more terrifying than Si Hanhai had expected. Until now, he hadn't completely refined the dragon body, but he had already reached the level of a true immortal. However, Si Hanhai had been suppressing his breakthrough. The reason was simple. Breaking through to the true immortal realm would cause too much of a commotion. Those forces that wanted to destroy the devil race would definitely not stand by and do nothing at that time.
to put it bluntly,
Si Hanhai was not confident that he could succeed in proving his Dao while the emperors were blocking his Dao. Because the devil race had just been established, their greatest foundation was themselves. Unlike the other races, they were all born when the heavens and earth were born. For millions of years, every race had some tricks left behind. Looking at the devil race, they didn't even have their own small world. How could they be described as miserable? Hearing this, Qin Shujian finally understood what Si Hanhai's goal was: proving his Dao and becoming an immortal. For the devil race, this was indeed a difficult thing. In addition, when the other party had just become a devil, he had run out to kill randomly and had offended many enemies. If there were no other experts to help, Si Hanhai would definitely fail in proving his Dao. Qin Shujian didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stood in place, as if he was thinking silently. As for Si Hanhai, he also stood to the side, waiting for the other party's answer. The other devil race. At this time, they all tactfully retreated. Brother Hanhai was originally from the human race. Later, he established the devil race and made enemies everywhere, which also indirectly reduced a lot of pressure for the human race. Ben Huang has no reason to refuse. Qin Shujian had a faint smile on his face. But Brother Hanhai should also be clear about the current situation of the human race. If all the true immortals take action, it may cause disputes in the 4 major continents. Now the main goal of the various races is still to deal with the void demons and the demon abyss that is about to arrive.
So,
if Brother Hanhai proves his Dao, Ben Huang promises that the human race will definitely have true immortals take action, but only one. A true immortal. Si Hanhai's expression changed slightly. But soon, his expression calmed down, and he nodded and said, "One true immortal will be enough." Immediately, Qin Shujian left with the 14 saints. Only Si Hanhai was left standing in place. Now, he was also thinking about what Qin Shujian had just said. On the surface, the human race only had one true immortal, Zhao Huang. But Zhao Huang's words meant that the human race actually had more than one true immortal. The human race should not have any ancient true immortals. Otherwise, when Zhao Huang achieved his Tao, the situation would not have been so critical. In this case, the human race will soon have a second true immortal. Si Hanhai's expression changed. The second true immortal of the human race. Almost immediately, he thought of Qin Shujian. Everyone knew. Qin Huang of the human race did not prove his Tao and become an immortal, but he had the strength of a powerful true immortal. If the human race had the highest chance of becoming an immortal, then it would be Qin Huang. Qin Shujian had not yet become an immortal, but his strength was already so terrifying. If he really succeeded in proving his Tao, his strength would definitely reach an unimaginable level. For the various races, they certainly did not want to see such a situation. In this way, Si Hanhai could understand that it would definitely be a bloodbath. I still need to suppress it for now. I can only prove my Tao and become an immortal after the human race has a second true immortal. He could not prove his Tao right away. If it happened to be the same time as Qin Shujian proving his Tao, Si Hanhai did not need to think to know who Zhao Huang would help. Therefore, his Tao could only be after Qin Shujian, or rather, after the human race had a second true immortal. As for what Qin Shujian said before, that the human race had only one true immortal, Si Hanhai thought it was completely enough. Because no matter if it was Zhao Huang, it was still Qin Huang. Their strength was at the top of the true immortals, and ordinary true immortals could not compare to them at all. As long as any one of them made a move, it was enough to rival several true immortals. He collected his thoughts. Si Hanhai returned to the blood cloud. He still had to continue refining the dragon body. Although he was suppressing himself now and could not prove his Tao and become an immortal immediately, it was not a problem to strengthen the foundation of his physical body. As the first demon emperor, Si Hanhai could also vaguely sense something from the fate of the demon race and the world. He knew that the more the physical body accumulated, the stronger it was. When he broke through to the true immortal realm, his strength would become stronger. Just like Zhao Huang of the human race. After becoming an immortal, his strength would directly beat other true immortals. As for Qin Huang of the human race, once he succeeded in proving his Tao, Zhao Huang's title of the strongest in the 4 major continents would also change hands. On the other side, inside the 10,000 race battlefield, the human race joined forces with the other races and was fighting with many experts. This time, the battle. It was not carried out in the human race's territory. Instead, the human race took the initiative to attack after receiving the news. They directly blocked the allied forces outside the human race's territory and directly broke out into a great battle. Boom! Qin Yuanbai held a long sword in his hand, and sword energy swept across the world with every move, forcing the Saint Realm cultivator in front of him to retreat. Long before Eldarwood's territory was occupied, under the power of heaven and earth, he had already broken through from the 4th level of the celestial being to the 5th level of the celestial being. As for the long sword in his hand, it was also a top divine weapon that Ling Huayu had personally refined. Because the original Tao weapon long sword had already been lost in the previous battle, although the top spiritual weapon in his hand now did not have the effect of suppressing fate, its power was not weaker than a Tao weapon. Coupled with Qin Yuanbai's current strength, it was even more terrifying. A long spear shattered the void. It bombarded a sword race Saint Realm cultivator until he coughed up blood and flew away. Duan Sun's eyes were cold, and his face was already covered in killing intent. The human race has never been enemies with the sword race, but now the sword race has taken the initiative to attack the human race. Do you really think that I am easy to bully? Today, I will not let the sword race return. As soon as he finished speaking, the long spear had already stabbed out again. The attack was fierce and terrifying, causing the sword race Saint Realm cultivator's expression to change drastically. In fact, the sword race was not weak. In addition, The sword race cultivators were formed from the flesh and blood of divine weapons born with spiritual intelligence, so the sword race was born with extremely strong combat power. If it was an ordinary cultivator, the sword race could challenge those of a higher realm. However, the sword race Saint Realm cultivator in front of him had encountered Duan Sun. As one of the few experts in the Great Zhao dynasty, this general who pacifies the East was also terrifyingly powerful. They were both experts who could challenge those of a higher realm. Obviously, the sword race Saint Realm cultivator could not surpass Duan Sun. The battle did not last long. Duan Sun's spear pierced through the sword race cultivator's chest, and then the spear intent exploded, annihilating the spirit god. Bang! The corpse fell from the void.
Then,
as the flesh and blood melted away, a cyan steel longsword lay there quietly.
Seeing this,
Duan Sun reached out and grabbed the bronze longsword in his hand. It's not a Dao artifact, but a top-tier spirit artifact. With his eyesight, it was easy to see the strength of the longsword. A sword race cultivator. The stronger he was, the stronger his body would be. The sword race Saint Realm cultivator he had just killed was a 5th-level Saint Realm cultivator, and his body was comparable to a decent 4-seal Dao artifact among the top-tier spirit artifacts. Not a bad harvest. Duan Sun smiled, and then put the bronze longsword into his storage ring. Then, when he looked at the other sword race cultivators, his eyes shone brightly. Kill! Duan Sun raised a spear and charged toward the other sword race cultivators. The sword race was a walking spirit artifact. If he could kill all the sword race cultivators who were attacking the human race would be strengthened by a lot. However, when Duan Sun killed the sword race Saint Realm cultivators, the human race also suffered many casualties. A great battle broke out. It involved celestial beings and those who had entered the Saint Realm. In a battle like this, even a diviner cultivator was at great risk of dying in such a situation.
Boom!
A terrifying energy exploded. Cui Huai was caught off guard and was forced to retreat while coughing up blood. Die! A blood Eldar Saint Realm cultivator stepped on the air and charged toward Cui Huai. Seeing this, Cui Huai's expression changed drastically. He was only a 3rd-level diviner. Facing a Saint Realm cultivator, even if he was at his peak, he would not be able to fight back, let alone now that he was severely injured. At this moment, the void shook. A large array suddenly came down and swallowed the blood Eldar Saint Realm cultivator. Feng Xinglan, who was dressed in green, sneered arrogantly. What's the big deal about bullying the weak? Play with me if you can. This Cui Huai was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood.
Weak.
Feng Xinglan, a 2nd-level diviner, actually looked down on him, a 3rd-level diviner. This made him a little breathless. However, seeing the other party controlling the array and suppressing the Saint Realm cultivator, Cui Huai silently swallowed his anger. Indeed, in terms of overall strength, he was really a weakling in front of Feng Xinglan. The sky was filled with sword shadows. The next moment, the sword shadows gathered and turned into a shocking black rainbow that pierced through the sky. A late-stage divine martial realm cultivator was alerted. Just as he was about to block it, he stopped in midair. Because the moment he blocked it, the black rainbow had already pierced through his chest. A powerful sword intent exploded. The moment it pierced through his chest, it completely destroyed his divine will. Test Jianfeng's expression was indifferent. He did not sheath his sword. Instead, he charged toward the next foreign cultivator. All of a sudden, a terrifying pressure came down from the void. Test Jianfeng's heart beat wildly. Without thinking, he dodged to the side. Boom! The Genqi bombarded the ground, creating a huge crater in the ground. At this moment,
Kill.
Cloud Master's expression was cold. He attacked again and charged toward Test Jianfeng.
He could see that.
Test Jianfeng's realm was not high. But the problem was that the other party was extremely powerful. He was only at the middle stage divine martial realm. But he could easily kill a late-stage divine martial realm cultivator. Such potential was extremely terrifying. When the other party broke through to the diviner realm in the future, the human race would have another powerful existence in the 10,000 tribe battlefield.
So,
In Cloudmaster's opinion, such a threat had to be eliminated in advance. Also because of the fact that he attacked. Test Jianfeng's expression became serious. Diviners. On the battlefield, encountering a diviner was the worst thing that could happen. However, Test Jianfeng was not too afraid. A diviner was strong, but his strength was not what it used to be. Besides, to be able to fight a diviner, Test Jianfeng's heart was slightly restless. Kill. The long sword slashed out. A black sword energy cut through the void. In an instant, the murderous power had already roared out like a tsunami, as if it was going to swallow Cloudmaster. Seeing this, Cloudmaster was not afraid at all. He struck out with his palm. The palm energy broke through the void and instantly destroyed the sword energy. Moreover, the remaining power did not stop as it charged toward Test Jianfeng. Whoosh! Whoosh! Test Jianfeng did not retreat. His long sword slashed out hundreds of times in a breath's time. All the sword energy gathered together and finally turned into a vast sword energy attack. Boom! The sword energy shattered. Test Jianfeng coughed out blood and retreated. He was very powerful, but compared to a diviner, there was a huge gap. It's meaningless to struggle. Cloudmaster shook his head. His body had already moved. The energy finger exploded with a force that could destroy heaven and earth. Seeing this, the sword lotus under Test Jianfeng's feet bloomed. His body had already moved to dodge. He knew the gap between him and a diviner. Fighting head-on, he was just courting death. The moment his body moved to dodge, Test Jianfeng's attack did not stop. His long sword stabbed out with lightning speed. The cold sword intent made Cloudmaster's heart tremble slightly. He flicked his finger. The sword energy shattered. Test Jianfeng's body was pushed back. In the next instant, Cloudmaster took a step forward. When the energy palm blasted out, it seemed to cover the void and heaven and earth. In an instant, Test Jianfeng could feel the space around him solidifying. Although his body wasn't frozen, his movement speed was greatly reduced. Facing a diviner,
he was at a disadvantage.
Now that his speed was reduced, he had no chance of winning.
Buzz!
A shocking sword intent erupted. It was as if the power that had been accumulated for a long time had been released at this moment. The originally condensed space. In an instant, it was torn apart by the sword intent. Next, Cloudmaster saw a cold light flying toward him. His skin was tingling. There was no hesitation. He immediately retreated. When Test Jianfeng saw this, he immediately used his trump card. 7 killing deities and ghosts against the stars. A black rainbow pierced through the air. A terrifying energy sword could destroy heaven and earth. Cloudmaster was shocked. Protective upstanding chi instantly burst out. Boom! The black rainbow collided with the protective energy. In the end, both of them disappeared. Before Cloudmaster could breathe a sigh of relief, a person stepped on the air. The long sword at his waist slashed out. The sword seemed to have crossed space and time. It directly slashed his throat. The sharp pain in his body. Cloudmaster no longer had any thoughts of fighting. He instantly turned around and fled into the distance. The diviner wanted to leave. Naturally, the divine martial school had no way to stop him. Ningbo turned to look at Test Jianfeng and said with a faint smile, "It's a pity that he escaped. Otherwise, today I would have a chance to join forces with Elder Test and kill a diviner with our swords. There will be a chance in the future." Test Jianfeng's expression did not change, but there was a flash of surprise in his eyes. Ningbo. Of course, he knew him. After all, he was Qin Shujian's disciple. However, Test Jianfeng had never thought that Ningbo's strength could reach such a level. The sword just now. This had already caused him to feel a great deal of fear. In other words, although Ningbo's strength was not as good as his, it was not much worse. And looking at the other parties means he was also a powerful swordsman. If it were not for him, Test Jianfeng was not confident that he could contend with Cloud Master. He took a deep look at Ningbo. Then he charged toward the other foreign cultivators on the battlefield. But there was not much time to catch up. For every foreign cultivator they killed, there would be one less human casualty. For this, no one would waste extra time. The moment Test Jianfeng attacked, Ningbo also locked onto a target. His wrist moved slightly. The long sword in the sheath suddenly bloomed with dazzling cold light. In the next breath, a foreign cultivator at the first level of the divine martial arts realm had already been decapitated. The fifth one, Ningbo said silently in his heart, but the long sword in his hand did not stop at all. He was still harvesting the lives of foreign cultivators. His target was very stable. He only looked for foreign cultivators at the peak of the spiritual martial arts realm and those who had just entered the divine martial arts realm. As for the stronger foreign cultivators, they were not in Ningbo's target range. With the infusion of the power of heaven and earth twice, Ningbo's strength had also broken through to the divine martial arts realm. And he was at the third level of the divine martial arts realm and was about to break through to the middle stage of the divine martial arts realm. Combined with the previous guidance given by Qin Shujian, most of the early stage of the divine martial arts realm had no possibility of resisting in front of him. This was also the most appropriate way to do things in a war. Do it as quickly as possible. Kill even more powerful enemies. When Ningbo was killing wantonly, it naturally attracted the attention of the foreign celestials. However, just when the foreign celestials were about to attack, Ningbo retreated one step ahead and then hid in the crowd, not giving the foreign celestials a chance to attack. Coupled with his identity as Qin Shujian's disciple, many celestials of the Qianyuan sacred ground paid some attention to him. Whenever a celestial attacked, they would be intercepted by the strong cultivators of the Qianyuan sacred ground in time. It was also because of this, Ningbo was almost unhindered on the battlefield. When the war broke out, in Yu City, a group of cultivators in black robes suddenly appeared. Because of their unconventional dressing, they also attracted the attention of some humans. However, no one went forward to ask anything. There were many strange people in the world. If they all went forward to ask, they might offend them. Therefore, the other humans just glanced at them and then looked away. Right now, there was a war breaking out outside the human territory. The humans in Yu City were either not strong enough or injured and came back to recuperate. But no matter which one it was, their attention was focused on the battlefield. As for other things, they had no time to care about other things. According to Emperor Qin, the battle took place outside the territory of the human race. You should have sensed that aura, right? Gu Feng said coldly from inside the black robe. He was originally a strong cultivator of the ancient Buddha clan. But after being assimilated by the Devil clan, he was already a member of the Devil clan. Although there seemed to be no big change on the surface, in fact, his temperament had completely changed. He had no nostalgia for the former ancient Buddha clan. Instead, he was loyal to Si Hanhai. Hearing this, another cultivator at the peak of the Saint Realm also said faintly, "Don't waste time. The deal between the Devil clan and the Human clan has already begun. We'd better make a move as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Human clan will suffer heavy casualties and the Devil clan will have a hard time explaining." The strength of the Devil clan was far inferior to that of the Human clan. If the Human clan really wanted to blame them, no one would have an advantage. Then let's make a move. Gu Feng nodded his head. Immediately, the group of 14 people directly left Yu City. After leaving the city, they flew in the air and rushed toward the battlefield. At this time, the battlefield was already in chaos. The strong cultivators of the various clans were fighting. Fortunately, Gu Feng and the others already knew who were the allies of the Human clan before they came. As for those who were not allies of the Human clan, they naturally belonged to the enemy. Let's end this quickly. Gu Feng quickly aimed at a Saint Realm cultivator and directly attacked. Boom! As soon as he attacked, a monstrous demonic aura filled the sky. It made Kong Lian, who was suppressing the Golden Rock King, change his expression slightly. Immediately after, he forced the Golden Rock King back with a palm and then struck out again with a backhand palm, bombarding toward Gu Feng. Rumble. The two palms collided, and a strong wind rose and spread in all directions. Kong Lian's body seemed to tremble, and he took a few steps back. Gu Feng was also knocked back in the air. Devil Clan. He looked at Gu Feng, who was wearing a black robe, and his eyes suddenly became serious. As a peak Saint Realm cultivator of the Blood Eldar, naturally, Kong Lian recognized that this was a technique unique to the Devil Clan. What he did not expect was that the Devil Clan would enter the 10,000 clan battlefield and help the Human Clan at this time.
Suddenly,
Kong Lian looked sideways at the Golden Rock King and sneered. I didn't expect that the Human Clan had secretly colluded with the Devil Clan. This is unexpected. Why should the Qianyuan sacred ground explain its actions to you? Although the Golden Rock King had doubts in his heart, it did not prevent him from rebuking Kong Lian. The situation in front of him. Gu Feng's strength was obviously very strong, and he was most likely a peak Saint Realm cultivator. With such a helper, the Golden Rock King also felt relieved. Gu Feng said, "We are here to help under the orders of the Qin Emperor. This person is not weak. Why don't you join forces with me to kill him?" Okay. The Golden Rock King nodded. Immediately, the two of them looked at each other, and then a monstrous burst of energy swept toward Kong Lian. On the other side, the intervention of more than a dozen Saint Realm cultivators of the Devil Clan instantly tilted the balance of the victory to the Human Clan. No one expected this. At the critical moment, the Devil Clan would intervene. What was even more unexpected was that the Devil Clan would be so strong that they could bring out more than a dozen Saint Realm cultivators at once. However, when a cultivator broke the black robe, his face instantly turned pale. The ancient Buddha clan. The appearance of the stone man was the unique symbol of the ancient Buddha clan. When the cultivators of the other clans saw this scene, their faces suddenly changed. The ancient Buddha clan.
No.
The Devil Clan had conquered the ancient Buddha clan. In other words, the ancient Buddha clan had been destroyed by the Human Clan. However, if one clan was destroyed, the other clans would definitely sense it. But now there was no news, so it could be seen that the ancient Buddha clan was not completely destroyed. But judging from the current situation, even if the ancient Buddha clan was not completely destroyed, it would not end well. Because another cultivator broke the black robe and revealed the identity of the person inside the black robe. The ancient Buddha clan. They were all members of the ancient Buddha clan. So many members of the ancient Buddha clan had all fallen into the Devil Clan, so the fate of the ancient Buddha clan could be imagined. In the end, the coalition forces of the various clans retreated, because the strength of the various clans was not much stronger than that of the Human Clan coalition forces. Now that more than a dozen saints of the Devil Clan had intervened, the coalition forces of the various clans had no chance of resisting. As for berating the Human Clan for colluding with the Devil Clan, that was even more nonsense. As long as the fist was big enough, there was no problem in doing anything. So, after leaving a lot of corpses, the various clans retreated one after another. As for the Human Clan coalition forces, they also retreated as soon as possible. In the end, only the Human Clan was left there to clean up the battlefield. At this time, Duan Sun and Qin Yuanbai had already arrived in front of the Devil Clan cultivators. Among them, Duan Sun cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for your help this time, friends of the Devil Clan, but I wonder who is the leader? May I ask which of the two of you is the leader of the Qianyuan Sacred Ground?" Gu Feng took a step forward, glanced at Duan Sun and Qin Yuanbai, and finally asked. Hearing this, Duan Sun suddenly looked a little embarrassed. Qin Yuanbai cupped his hands and said, "I am Qin Yuanbai, the temporary leader of the Qianyuan Sacred Ground of the Myriad Clan battlefield." This time, the Qin Emperor of the Human Clan made a deal with the Devil Clan. "There are some things that need to be discussed with you." After knowing Qin Yuanbai's identity, Gu Feng's expression became much more polite. Since the other party was the leader of the Qianyuan Sacred Ground in the Myriad Clan battlefield, he must be highly regarded by Qin Shujian. For such a person, even if his strength was average, he did not dare to offend him.
Haha, well said.
Everyone, follow me to the city to discuss in detail.
Qin Yuanbai laughed.
As he spoke, he glanced at Duan Sun, and then the smile on his face became even brighter. Very good. The Devil Clan was invited by the Qin Emperor, and it had nothing to do with the Great Zhao Empire. Although the Great Zhao Empire and the Qianyuan Sacred Ground were a whole of the human clan. But in fact, the two sides also competed with each other in private. Although this competition did not rise to the level of the human emperor, the rest of the people still wanted to suppress the other party. Now Gu Feng, it made Qin Yuanbai feel that he had won one more round in front of Duan Sun, which was a very satisfying thing. Soon, the battlefield was cleaned up. The Devil Clan cultivators also returned to Yu City with Qin Yuanbai and the others. Until now, Qin Yuanbai finally had time to take out the communication jade talisman and read the message inside. Soon, he knew the purpose of Gu Feng and the others coming here. The Qin Emperor means to let the Devil Clan help the Human Clan to capture the Sword Clan's territory, right? That's right. Gu Feng nodded slightly and said in a deep voice, "We came to the Myriad Clan battlefield for two purposes. One of them is to help the Human Clan solve the current situation, and the second is to capture the Sword Clan's territory." This was the deal between Qin Shujian and Si Hanhai. It was also equivalent to the deal between the Human Clan and the Devil Clan. Qin Yuanbai said, "The Sword Clan was not weak, but after this battle, they have suffered a lot. With the help of the Devil Clan, it will not be a problem for the Qianyuan Sacred Ground to capture the Sword Clan." After that, he paused and said slowly, "The problem is that the other allies of the Sword Clan will not stand by at that time. The Sword Clan was on the side of the Blood Eldar. As a result, the Sword Clan was not a small clan that could be destroyed at will. If they attacked the Sword Clan, it might be another fierce battle." Hearing this, Fang Xinglan said faintly, "The biggest problem of the Sword Clan is the reinforcements of the various clans. In fact, as long as this is solved, the Sword Clan will not be a concern. Elder Fang, do you have a way? I can set up a space shielding formation to make the Sword Clan's teleportation formation ineffective for a short time. Then we can take down the Sword Clan with lightning speed." Fang Xinglan frowned as he spoke. "However, it will be easy for us to take down the Sword Clan. When the other clans react afterwards, we will have to pay a high price to defend the Sword Clan's territory." "No need." "Elder Qin, what do you mean?" Fang Xinglan was startled. "No need? No need for what?" Qin Yuanbai said, "The Qin Emperor just wants us to capture the Sword Clan's territory. If the other clans want to snatch it, we can just give it away if there is no way to defend it. In other words, our main purpose is to completely drive the Sword Clan out of the Myriad Clan battlefield." At this moment, Qin Yuanbai also somewhat understood Qin Shujian's purpose. The Sword Clan's main body was all transformed from powerful divine weapons. If they could destroy the Sword Clan, the Human Clan would be able to obtain a batch of powerful divine weapons. For a cultivator, cultivation realm was one aspect. Cultivation techniques, martial arts, and divine weapons were another. Combining the two together, that was the complete strength. If the Qianyuan Sacred Ground could have a batch of powerful divine weapons, their strength would definitely increase significantly. After all, divine weapons of that level, even if a Grandmaster Forger wanted to forge one, he would have to pay a high price. Just when Qin Yuanbai thought that he understood Qin Shujian's intention, the other elders, at this time, they were also deep in thought. Soon, they also understood Qin Shujian's purpose. The Sword Clan is full of treasures. Even if we can't occupy the Sword Clan's territory, it would be good to obtain a batch of divine weapons. Elder Fang, how long will it take to set up the space shielding formation? I need to ask Elder Ling to refine a set of formation plates. It will be convenient to seal off the Sword Clan space in a short period of time, without the Sword Clan noticing. Fang Xinglan pondered for a moment and gave a rough answer. As for the time, it should be about half a month. About half a month, it was about time to refine a set of formation plates. Hearing this, Qin Yuanbai nodded. Half a month is fine. This time, the human clan has also suffered a lot in the war. We can take this opportunity to recover a little. While the affairs of the 10,000 clan battlefield were proceeding in an orderly manner, Qin Shi Jian had already taken away the ancient Buddha clan's secret realm and abandoned it in the East Continent. It was different from the last time he crushed the secret realm. This time, he did not crush the secret realm of the ancient Buddha clan. Instead, he opened the entrance of the secret realm and then entered it to extract the spirit veins of the secret realm. As the secret realm of the top clans, there were 2 large spirit veins, 3 medium spirit veins, and 3 small spirit veins in the secret realm of the ancient Buddha clan. Looking at the secret realm that had been extracted, Qin Shi Jian performed the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, and his body became tens of thousands of feet tall. In the next moment, he grabbed a spirit vein and directly opened his mouth to swallow it.
Yes.
He swallowed it. The inner world existed in the physical body. If he wanted to move something as large as a spirit vein into it, the best way was to swallow it directly. Fortunately, after developing the inner world, Qin Shi Jian's lawful embodiment of heaven and earth became even larger. It was not difficult to open his mouth and swallow the spirit vein. Soon, a spirit vein disappeared from his mouth and fell into the inner world. As the spirit vein appeared, the spirit qi of the inner world vibrated and instantly became rich. Then Qin Shi Jian did not stop and grabbed another spirit vein and swallowed it. Front and back, 8 spirit veins were swallowed by him just like that. In the inner world, 8 spirit veins lay horizontally, crushing many mountains and collapsing them. However, the spirit qi that was emitted directly increased the spirit qi of the inner world to a terrifying degree. P.S. Requesting monthly votes. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.